Chapter 182. As soon as the system's notification ended, a world notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to kill an Emperor-ranked general. Additional reward. Innate attribute points x5. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the third to kill a second-rate historical general, Zhang Chun. Due to his identity as a traitor, additional reward. Merit ***** and innate attribute points x5. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for conquering Ping City and killing the traitor Zhang Chun. Historical side quest completed. Special reward. Recruitment order Heaven ranked. X1. Ardent Sun armor Diamond ranked. Blueprint X1. Tempered Steel Spear Diamond ranked. Blueprint X1. Requiem Bow Diamond ranked. Blueprint X1. Heavy Horse Armor, Diamond ranked. Blueprint X1. Village Building Token, Gold ranked. X5. Innate Attribute Points X10. Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard the historical side quest reward. F***CK. The reward increased by 1 level, because it was completed independently. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's mouth couldn't help but curl up. Silver-ranked equipment couldn't keep up with the trend, and now it was Diamond-ranked. This was 2F***King awesome. Yi Chen was feeling great, but a series of world notifications blew up the world channel. F***CK. F***CK. They actually conquered it. F***CK. How long has it been? Not even an hour? F***CK. God, Yi Chen is awesome. He used cavalry to attack a city, and not only did he succeed, but he did it in such a short time. Who said cavalry can't attack a city? Did you see that? Boss Yi Chun used cavalry to attack a city. Not only did he attack it, but he also succeeded. F***CK, are you convinced? F***CK. I just want to know why the reward for killing the traitor Zhang Chun increased so much. It's a diamond-ranked blueprint, and a F***king said it that. Why is it only gold-ranked? And it's only diamond-ranked? I only saw a gold-ranked village building token. F***CK. I really want it. A recruitment order, a heaven-ranked recruitment order. It seems that once used, it can create 100,000 soldiers. The lowest rank is C rank, and it might even be B rank. F***CK. Yi Chun is seriously destroying the game's balance. Is no one going to do anything about it? Yeah, if this goes on, what are we going to do? All the benefits will belong to Yi Chun. Templar Town looking for diamond-grade blueprints and gold-grade village building orders at high prices. Looking for soldier orders at sky-high prices. Please contact us, General Ping Bei. Beauty Town looking for diamond-level blueprints, gold-level village building orders, and heaven-level soldier recruitment orders at a high price. There are no restrictions. General Ping Bei, please contact us. In addition, Xiaoye is constantly thinking of General Ping Bei. F***CK. This group of shameless bitches actually used a honey trap. F***CK. Boss Yi Chen won't be lured over, right? If this goes on, those women will become lawless. Right north of Pingcheng, west of the city, Yi Chen looked at the messages that kept flooding the world channel, his face expressionless. Panga didn't care about what others said because there was no way to cheat in this game. If you hit it, snatched it, and obtained it, it was yours. The rules wouldn't change because of any factors. Even if the players protested, it was useless. It was up to them to play or not. If they didn't play, there would only be one outcome. They would be eaten by monsters or killed by others. Just as Yi Chun was about to stop looking at the world channel, a message from Beauty Town suddenly appeared in front of Yi Chun. Yi Chun frowned and narrowed his eyes. Hu Xiaoye didn't die. What was going on? Did her brother, Commander Hu, lie to me? Or did she get saved thinking of this? Yi Chun gave up on thinking about this problem. From Yi Chun's point of view, this had nothing to do with Yi Chun. There was no need to waste energy thinking about this troublesome problem. As for people wanting to buy the items and the reward, Yi Chun ignored them. The sound of horses galloping could be heard. Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng rode to Yi Chen's side. "Greetings, my lord." Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng shouted as they dismounted and knelt on one knee. Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. Then, he said, "Zilong, Zhao Meng, you did well. Taking down the city in an hour will be recorded as the first merit. I don't dare to claim credit. This time, we were able to take down the city because of the weapons my lord provided. Otherwise," Zhao Yun hurriedly bowed. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by Yi Chun. "Zilong, you don't have to be so humble. The weapons also depend on who used them. If it were someone else, I don't think it would have been so easy to take down the city," Yi Chun said with a laugh. Hearing this, Zhao Yun couldn't help but smile. He then took out 3 items and said, "My lord, these are the 3 items that the rebel generals dropped after they died." Yi Chun took them and looked at them. Then, with a smile, he casually placed them in his storage space. The 3 items were weapons, cultivation techniques, and an emperor-level general's soul. The weapons and cultivation techniques with the word "true" could be sold to players, while the general's soul could be used as a reward for his subordinates. Although Yi Chun didn't think much of them, they were still useful. Da-da-da. The horses galloped forward, and the sound of hooves could be heard again. This time, it was Guojia riding over. As soon as he arrived at Yi Chun's side, Guojia dismounted and bowed with a smile. "Congratulations, my lord. Congratulations, my lord. After killing Zhang Chun, it won't be long before we send troops to Wuhan. Quelling the rebellion in Yuzhou is just around the corner. Feng Xiao, you've contributed greatly in this battle. Just like Zilong, you deserve the first merit." Yi Chun laughed and said. Yi Chun had said this to Guojia before, but that was in private. Now that he was saying it in front of Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng, it was an official announcement. This lowly one was only a support. It was all thanks to General Zilong's peerless bravery that we were able to take northern Ping City. Guojia chuckled and bowed. Military advisor, Zilong is ashamed. Without military advisor's help, Zilong would never have been able to take northern Ping City, Zhao Yun hurriedly said. Yi Chun helplessly shook his head and smiled. "Enough. The 2 of you don't need to be so modest. You've both earned the first merit. Once Wuhan is pacified, we'll discuss your merits and reward you. My lord, why don't you go to northern Ping City first? News of Zhang Chun's execution will soon reach Luoyang. When the time comes, a personal attendant might come to verify it," Guojia said with a bow. Yi Chun raised an eyebrow and said, "Feng Xiao is correct. Let's go. We'll go to northern Ping City and wait for His Majesty's news." In truth, Guojia's words were just an excuse. He was reminding Yi Chun that Ping Cheng had already been taken down, and the news would soon reach Luoyang. According to the eunuch's nature, they would immediately rush to Ping Cheng in Pingcheng in order to reap some benefits. Rather than letting the eunuchs reap the benefits, it was better to take away all the good stuff as soon as possible. Normally, Yi Chun shouldn't touch anything here, but there were no outsiders here. It would be a waste to not take it. Chapter 183. Just as Yi Chun was about to go to Pingcheng, a scout rode over, got off the horse, knelt on one knee, and said loudly, he shouted, "My lord, a large number of Inhumans have appeared 20 miles west, 15 miles south, and 10 miles east. There are about 1 million of them." Yi Chun frowned when he heard this. Were they here to pick up the dropped equipment, or were they here to rob him in Pingcheng? On the battlefield, corpses were everywhere, and dropped items were everywhere. Players would not wake up early if there were no benefits. Naturally, there would be players who would want to take advantage of the situation and run over to see if there were any missing equipment. Of course, these players were considered to have some self-control. As for the other items, most of them would take them and run away. Yi Chun had seen too many of such things in his previous life. Hence, after every battle, Yi Chun would immediately ask his soldiers to clean up the battlefield and collect the dropped equipment and other items. Although Yi Chun did not care about the items, he could sell them in the market and find some good items to distribute to his soldiers. It was not worth it to let others pick them up or rob them. As for robbing Pingcheng, that was another way for players to make a profit. Pingcheng had been occupied by the traitor Zhang Chun for some time and was not under the rule of the Great Han Empire. Now that Yi Chun had taken over Pingcheng and killed Zhang Chun, if players were to rob Pingcheng, they would not be wanted by the Great Han Empire. This was because there were no officials from the imperial court, and it was considered a city without a ruler. Although Yi Chun was the great Han Empire's general, he was not appointed by the imperial court to manage Pingcheng. Hence, even if players were to rob NPC shops or other items, the system would not issue a bounty mission. In Yi Chen's previous life, such things had happened many times. In the end, no one cared about it, and many players made a fortune. Yi Chun, who was also a player, could understand the players' actions. However, even though he could understand, he was still unhappy that the players would rob Yi Chen's Pingcheng. Moreover, this would ruin Yi Chen's reputation. This was because once the residents here were robbed by players, the players would be the ones to be scolded. However, in the end, Yi Chen would still be implicated. Who asked Yi Chun to be the Great Han Empire's general who pacifies the north? After breaking into the city and killing the rebels, he actually didn't care about the civilians. Unless Yi Chun left Pingcheng immediately, Yi Chun would have nothing to do with it. But Yi Chun could not leave now. There were still many good things in Zhang Chun's mansion that he had yet to take. How could he leave? Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes narrowed. Then, he looked at the messenger and shouted, "Pass the order! Anyone who picks up items from the battlefield will be killed." "Yes, Your Majesty," the messenger replied loudly. He then rode off on his horse to relay Yi Chen's orders. Yi Chen looked at Zhao Yun and instructed, "Don't worry, Zilong, arrange 10,000 men for each of the 4 city gates. No one is allowed to enter. Those who try to break in will be killed. Those who try to probe will be killed. Those who verbally attack will be killed." "Yes, Your Majesty," Zhao Yun bowed and replied. He then left to arrange the men. "Your Majesty, it's best if you make arrangements for those surrendered soldiers. If things go awry, we might delay," Guo Jia said to Yi Chun as he looked at the 180,000 surrendered soldiers. Yi Chun nodded and rode towards the 180,000 surrendered soldiers. When he arrived, Yi Chun was silent for a moment. Then he shouted, "From today onwards, you are all soldiers of the cycle of reincarnation." As soon as Yi Chun finished speaking, the eyes of the 180,000 surrendered rebel soldiers, who were originally uneasy, lit up. Yi Chun's words were equivalent to telling them that they didn't have to worry about being beheaded. "Thank you, General, for sparing our lives. Thank you, General, for sparing our lives." A tsunami of shouts rang out from the mouths of the 180,000 surrendered rebel soldiers. Rebellion was a capital offense, so it was normal for them to be beheaded. Yi Chun had promised that he wouldn't kill those who surrendered, and now Yi Chun was really starting to fulfill his promise. How could the 180,000 surrendered rebel soldiers not be excited? How could they not be excited? Yi Chun looked at the excited 180,000 surrendered soldiers and couldn't help but smile. Damn, 180,000 of them are at least C rank. I'd be an idiot to kill them all. The regular army of the Great Han Empire was at least C rank. They might be rebels, but they used to be the regular army of the Great Han Empire. As for the fact that they had participated in the rebellion, Yi Chun didn't really care. How many soldiers would want to rebel of their own accord? There were basically none. Most of them had been led to rebel. Thinking of this, Yi Chun raised his hand and signaled for the 180,000 surrendered soldiers to quiet down. Soon, the 180,000 surrendered soldiers stopped shouting. They all raised their heads and looked at Yi Chun, quietly waiting for Yi Chun's orders. When Yi Chun saw that the 180,000 surrendered soldiers had all quieted down, he immediately shouted, Remember that samsara is reincarnated. Remember, once you enter the cycle of reincarnation, you will be reincarnated forever. Loyalty is the first rule. I can give you a new life, but I will not tolerate betrayal. I don't care what you did in the past, but from today onwards, you must remember one thing at all times. Kill, kill, kill. Samsara's soldiers raised the spears in their hands and roared. When the 180,000 surrendered soldiers heard this, their hearts trembled. They hadn't thought about finding an opportunity to betray Samsara after surviving this time. They were frightened because the berserk killing intent of the Samsara soldiers was too frightening. No, I won't. General, I swear, I won't betray Samsara. Someone stuttered. I won't betray Samsara either. I swear, General, I really won't betray Samsara. One person after another, group after group. In the end, the 180,000 surrendered soldiers all swore that they would never betray Samsara. None of them had ever thought of betraying Samsara. They had surrendered so easily because they had been frightened by Yi Chun and the Samsara Legion's tyrannical, brutal, and contemptuous combat strength. Yi Chun looked at the 180,000 surrendered soldiers' sincere and worried expressions and couldn't help but smile. Yi Chun naturally knew that these people wouldn't betray Samsara so easily. But Yi Chun wanted to leave a mark in their hearts, a mark that they would never betray Samsara. And at this moment, Yi Chun's plan had undoubtedly succeeded. At this moment, the 180,000 surrendered soldiers were already frightened and uneasy. Now that Yi Chun had given them a blow to the head, it was hard for them not to remember. You don't need to panic. As long as you remember the rule of never betraying Samsara City and serve Samsara City wholeheartedly, you will also receive all kinds of benefits from Samsara City. Yi Chun raised his hand to stop the 180,000 surrendered soldiers from continuing to swear, and then said. As soon as Yi Chun finished speaking, the 180,000 surrendered soldiers were all stunned. Just as they were wondering what kind of benefits Samsara City would give to the soldiers, Yi Chun spoke again. After joining Samsara City, everyone will be given a house and 5 acres of land. If you have a family, you will be given 5 acres of land based on the population. When you fight, you will be rewarded for your contributions and punished for your mistakes. Those who die in battle will be given a grand funeral. Samsara City will be responsible for raising their children until they grow up, and Samsara City will be responsible for taking care of their parents until they die. Their family members will receive a monthly pension of 1 gold coin and will be exempt from taxes for 3 years. In addition, they will be allocated 10 acres of land and will be exempt from taxes for life. Chapter 184. Wow! The 180,000 surrendered soldiers were in an uproar. Because of shock, because of excitement, because happiness came too suddenly. Why did they fight so hard in wars? It was to live a good life. Now, Yi Chun had given them a life they didn't even dare to dream of. How could they not be excited? As for Yi Chun lying to them, no one believed that Yi Chun would do that. Yi Chun was general pacifying north of the Great Han Empire, a first-class earl, and a master of Samsara. Why would he lie to them? Obviously not. Long live the general! Long live the general! Long live the Lord! Long live the general! The 180,000 surrendered soldiers instantly burst into a roar like a tsunami. They all cheered loudly, expressing the joy in their hearts. Looking at the excited 180,000 surrendered soldiers, Yi Chun raised his hand to signal them to be quiet. The next second, the 180,000 surrendered soldiers shut their mouths. At this moment, Yi Chun smiled slightly and then shouted, "Now, take off your uniforms and go to the transmission formation in Ping City. You'll be teleported directly to Samsara City." "Yes, my lord." The 180,000 surrendered rebel soldiers roared in unison. Then they took off their uniforms and headed for the right side of the city. "Congratulations, my lord. Samsara's military strength has increased greatly. You're just around the corner." Guojia bowed and said with a smile, "Fengxiao, this is just the beginning. When the time is right, I'll take all of you to untainted land. Believe me, it will not take more than 10 years. Yi Chun could not help but smile when he heard this. Then he solemnly said, Guojia understood that Yi Chun was thinking for him. Because he had heaven's jealousy, he only had 10 years left to live. Once Samsara was established, he could follow Yi Chun to untainted land. By then, heaven's jealousy would disappear. But it was difficult to establish a country in 10 years. Guojia knew and understood, but he was still moved. Because Yi Chun was truly thinking for him. Guojia took a deep breath and exhaled. Then he bowed and said, "Jia will do everything in my power to assist my lord and complete your hegemony." Yi Chun patted Guojia on the shoulder, then looked at the messenger and ordered, "Go. Send someone to burn those uniforms and bury them on the spot." "Yes, my lord." The messenger hurriedly replied before running off to relay Yi Chen's orders. It didn't take long for fires to break out everywhere. Yi Chen did this to erase the evidence of the 180,000 surrendered soldiers. Without clothes and weapons, they would all go to Samsara City. Once they changed their clothes and registered, they would become soldiers of Samsara. As for wrangling with the imperial court and pardoning the 180,000 surrendered rebel soldiers, Yi Chen had neither the time nor inclination to do so. If he could directly accept it, why would he bother to argue? There were no outsiders here, so Yi Chen was not worried about others finding out. "My lord, the Inhumans are here," Zhao Meng looked into the distance and reminded. Yi Chen glanced at the players approaching the battlefield. He curled his lips in disdain and said, "They're here. It doesn't matter. If they dare to make a fuss, just kill them. This isn't Luoyang, where we can just pin a crime on them and kill them. If they attack us, they'll be wanted." "My lord, I've been waiting for you to say that. I want to take care of these people for a long time." Zhao Meng's eyes lit up when he heard this. Yi Chen was taken aback. Then he smiled and said, "Don't attack recklessly. If they don't provoke us, we can ignore them." Yi Chen wasn't afraid of a large number of players, but he wasn't arrogant enough to kill anyone on sight. If they didn't provoke Yi Chen wouldn't bother with them. If they did, there was only one result: kill. "Yes, my lord." Zhao Meng nodded and replied, "It's getting late. Let's go. Let's go to Zhang Chun's mansion and see if there are any treasures. We don't want them to fall into the hands of those damned eunuchs," Yi Chen said with a smile. He then rode his horse towards Beiping City. Beiping City, Beiping City, City Lord's Mansion. When Yi Chen arrived, he headed straight for the City Lord's Mansion's warehouse. The warehouse's doors were locked with 12 massive locks. Zhang Chun had fled in a hurry and didn't have time to take the items in the warehouse with him. The doors were made of fine steel, and the 12 massive locks were gold rank. Without the key, it was impossible to open them. Yi Chen didn't care where Zhang Chun hid the key. The 12 massive locks might be a problem for other players, but they weren't a problem for Yi Chen. With a wave of his right hand, the Godslayer appeared. Then he swung it forcefully. Puchi, Puchi, Puchi. A series of loud sounds rang out. The 12 gold-ranked locks were instantly sliced in half. When Yi Chen saw this, he curled his lips in disdain. He then pushed open the warehouse's doors and walked inside. As soon as Yi Chen entered, the room was filled with jewels and jewels. Damn, this Zhang Chun really stole a lot of good stuff. Yi Chen didn't even look at the items. With a wave of his hand, Yi Chen collected all the valuable jewels and purple coins. As for the gold, silver, and copper coins, Yi Chen didn't touch them. In a moment, the eunuchs would definitely come over. Those were all for them. Yi Chen knew how capable the eunuchs were. It would be strange if they didn't make things difficult for you if they didn't give you any benefits. Yi Chen's lips curled into a smile when he saw the additional 3,920,000 purple coins and 132 boxes of top-tier jewels in his bag. Not bad, not bad. This Zhang Chun still did a good deed before dying. Thinking of this, Yi Chen waved his right hand. A strange-looking key appeared in Yi Chen's hand. This was one of the 3 items Zhang Chun dropped after he was killed. It was the key to the secret vault. Anything that dropped from Zhang Chun's body must have something to do with him. When Yi Chen saw the key to the secret vault, he immediately confirmed that there was a secret vault in the governor's mansion. As for where it was, Yi Chen wasn't sure yet. Looking at the governor's mansion's warehouse, which was 90% empty, Yi Chen looked back and forth. However, he couldn't find a place where he could use the key to the secret vault. Damn, where would this Zhang Chun build the secret vault? It definitely wasn't in the warehouse. Could it be the backyard? Thinking of this, Yi Chen suddenly froze. He remembered that Zhang Chun didn't bring his family with him when he escaped. Zhang Chun's wives must know the location of the secret vault. Thinking of this, Yi Chen narrowed his eyes. He then left the warehouse and went straight to the backyard. When Yi Chen arrived at the backyard, Zhao Meng and his men had already captured all of Zhang Chun's family members. "My lord, Zhao Meng saw Yi Chen arrive at the backyard and hurriedly bowed. Yi Chen nodded. He then looked at the group of crying women kneeling on the ground and asked, "Who is Zhang Chun's wife?" Sinful Zhang Wangshi greets the general. A middle-aged woman looked up at Yi Chen and said, "Come here. I have something to ask you." Yi Chen glanced at the middle-aged woman and asked. The soldiers guarding Zhang Chun's family members moved aside when they heard this. "Yes, General," the middle-aged woman hurriedly replied. She then got up and followed Yi Chen to the pavilion. Chapter 185. Do you know where Zhang Chun's secret vault is? Yi Chen glanced at the middle-aged woman and asked, "General, is there a way for my children to live?" The middle-aged woman bowed and did not answer. Instead, she asked another question. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and said, "They will definitely die." The middle-aged woman trembled when she heard this. After a moment of silence, she asked again, "General, what will it take for you to let me and my children go? It's not a matter of whether I let them go or not. Zhang Chun rebelled, and his entire family will be executed," Yi Chen said in a deep voice. The middle-aged woman bit her lip and said, "I have a treasure chest. I'm willing to give it to you. I wonder if you can let me and my children go." Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard this. There was indeed something wrong with this woman. From the beginning, Yi Chen noticed that this woman was different from ordinary women. She was not flustered or afraid. Instead, she was unusually calm. It was only when Yi Chen said that she and her children were definitely going to die that she started to feel a ripple of emotion. It did not matter if it was fake or real. These were not important. What was important was that Yi Chen recognized this woman's identity. She was the one who released the mystic realm. Moreover, it was at least an epic mystic realm. It could also be a legendary or even a mythical mystic realm. Treasure chest fragments rarely appeared. When they did, it was related to a mystic realm. However, this middle-aged woman in front of him told Yi Chen that she was willing to use the chest fragment in exchange for her and her children's safety. This clearly told Yi Chen that she was the mission NPC. Others might not know this, but Yi Chen was reborn. How could he not know this? If it were anyone else, they would most likely agree to the middle-aged woman's offer of a treasure chest fragment in exchange for a chance to live. The probability of this happening was definitely more than 99%. This was because it was very easy to do. After that, they would be able to obtain a treasure chest fragment. As for whether they would kill the middle-aged woman or not, that depended on the person. However, this was not important. What was important was that Yi Chen was not tempted at all. This was because Yi Chen knew that once he agreed, there would only be one outcome. It was one thing for the treasure map fragment to be fake, but it would also add all kinds of negative attributes to one's body. In his previous life, there were quite a few people who had fallen victim to this trick. They had been tortured for an entire month before they were released. However, this secret was never revealed because the unlucky ones still wanted to see others suffer. It was only until someone actually obtained the fragments of the treasure map, collected them, and officially opened the secret realm that this secret was finally known to everyone. There is only one way to obtain the treasure map fragment, and that was to kill the person who released the secret realm. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "There's no need for that. Now, tell me the location of the secret vault, and I'll give you a quick death." "General, the treasure map fragment is related to the 9 cauldrons." The middle-aged woman's expression changed when she heard this. 9 cauldrons. The 9 cauldrons of the ancient kingdom. It was the 9 cauldrons of the ancient kingdom. She was the source of the mythical grade secret realm, the underground palace secret realm. At this moment, Yi Chen recalled the memories of his previous life regarding the mythical grade secret realm underground palace. The nation's divine weapon, the 9 cauldrons, the pre-Qin terracotta army by Qi, the Qin Shi Huang who wanted to be reborn and live forever. F***CK. Where did this woman come from? She was the key to opening the underground palace secret realm. At this thought, Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at the middle-aged woman. He said in a deep voice, "I'll ask you one last time. If you don't tell me the location of the secret vault, die." A murderous aura surged from Yi Chen's body and rushed toward the middle-aged woman. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly felt that something was amiss. In Yi Chen's previous life, the treasure map fragment of the Nine Cauldrons appeared half a year after the Primordial Age game was released. After that, the Underground Palace Secret Realm was officially opened after a month. However, the Underground Palace Secret Realm was extremely dangerous. The weakest existence inside was a king-level general. There was no weakling among them. In his previous life, when the Underground Palace Secret Realm was opened, countless players rushed in. However, they were killed by the pre-Qin Terracotta Army. After that, the Qin Shi Huang was reborn and became a zombie emperor. He then led the millions of pre-Qin zombies to the Primordial Age and disappeared. The Nine Cauldrons of the Ancient Kingdom followed the Qin Shi Huang and left. To put it simply, the underground secret dungeon was like a huge trap that attracted countless players, but not a single player gained any benefits from it. The Qin Shi Huang had only appeared and disappeared for a short period of time. Even when Yi Chen was reborn, the Qin Shi Huang did not appear. Now, the news of the Underground Palace Secret Realm appeared in front of Yi Chen 6 months in advance. How could Yi Chen not be suspicious? However, although he was suspicious, Yi Chen still wanted to find out the location of the secret vault. Then, he would kill the person who released the secret realm and obtain the Nine Cauldrons treasure map fragment. In his previous life, there were many mysteries. In this life, Yi Chen was not in the mood to solve the mystery. However, Yi Chen was determined to get the Nine Cauldrons. The Nine Cauldrons controlled the fate of the nation. Yi Chen wanted to establish a nation and ascend to the Primordial Age. If he wanted to survive in the Primordial Age, he had to obtain the Nine Cauldrons. Only by doing so could the nation's fate be stable. Only by doing so could the nation's fate not be rapidly lost. Only by doing so could the nation gain a foothold in the Primordial Age. General, I have a hard life. Please accept this treasure map and give me a quick death. As the middle-aged woman spoke, she took out a palm-sized fragment of the map and was about to hand it to Yi Chen. Yi Chen's eyes widened. He waved his right hand, and the Godslayer appeared. Just as Yi Chen was about to kill the middle-aged woman, a loud roar sounded. "Bitch, how dare you!" Guojia, who had arrived at the backyard, glared at the middle-aged woman with his pure black eyes. Then, he grabbed at the air with his right hand, and a shadow appeared above the middle-aged woman's head. "Ah, the ghost god!" A sharp cry came from Shadow. "How dare you harm Master Jia? Bitch, die!" Guojia shouted angrily. Then, 2 black lights shot out from his eyes and shrouded the shadow in an instant. "How dare you treat me like this? My son will avenge me." A sharp and miserable cry sounded. "Ghost fire of the netherworld." Guojia ignored it and shouted directly. In the next second, the gloomy and cold flame suddenly shrouded the shadow and burned fiercely. "Ah!" A sharp and miserable cry was heard. After a few breaths, the shadow disappeared and the gloomy and cold flame went out. Guojia's body shook and his eyes returned to normal. He glanced at Yi Chen weakly and then fell backward. Seeing this, Yi Chen's face changed. He moved and came to Guojia's side in an instant to support him. Zhao Meng, who was shocked by Guojia's roar, hurriedly rushed over with the soldiers. Seeing that Guojia had fainted, Zhao Meng's face changed. Then, he looked at Yi Chen and knelt down heavily on one knee. "My lord, please punish me for being late." Bang! The soldiers of Samsara City also knelt down on one knee and shouted, "My lord, please punish me." Chapter 186. Zhao Meng and the other Samsara soldiers were all blaming themselves. Their negligence had put Yi Chen in danger and caused Guojia to pass out. "It's fine. Go and capture her. If she tries anything funny, kill her," Yi Chen ordered with a wave of his hand. This matter had nothing to do with Zhao Meng. Even Yi Chen hadn't expected the middle-aged woman to have a ghost on her body. "Yes, my lord," Zhao Meng replied in a low voice. Then, he angrily rushed to the pavilion and grabbed the middle-aged woman. General, spare my life. The middle-aged woman cried out in terror. Yichen glanced at the middle-aged woman and frowned. At this moment, the middle-aged woman looked like a normal woman. She was a completely different person. Could the key to the secret realm be the ghost on her body? But the ghost had been killed by Guijia. The 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment. As Yi Chun thought of this, his eyes suddenly focused. There was a palm-sized piece of animal skin on the floor of the pavilion. There was a map of mountains and rivers drawn on it. It was similar to the palm-sized fragment the middle-aged woman had taken out. This was a fragment of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map. Yi Chun instantly recognized the origin of the animal skin. He reached out with his right hand, and the animal skin flew over to him. Then Yi Chun grabbed it. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment X1. Collect all 9 fragments to obtain the complete 9 Cauldrons treasure map. Yi Chun raised his eyebrows when he heard the system notification. Then, he let out a long sigh. He had obtained a fragment of the treasure map. The key to opening the secret realm was in his hands. The rest was simple. Yi Chun narrowed his eyes. Then, he looked at the pavilion and shouted, "Tell me where the secret realm is. If you tell me, I'll give her a quick death. If you don't, I'll kill her." Yi Chun said coldly. Then, he looked at Guijia's status panel. After seeing that Guijia was weak and unconscious, Yi Chun heaved a sigh of relief. Damn it, luckily Guijia was fine. Otherwise, this would be a huge loss. What was the identity of that female ghost? Who was the son she was talking about? Just as Yi Chun thought of this, Zhao Meng hurriedly ran over. "Did you confess?" Yi Chun looked at Zhao Meng and asked. Zhao Meng nodded his head and said, "My lord, the bitch has confessed. The secret vault is in the dry well in the backyard." Yi Chun handed Guojia to Zhao Meng and said, "Send Feng Xiao to his room to rest. Then send Zhang Chun's family on their way." "Yes." Zhao Meng nodded and replied. Yi Chun glanced at Guojia and then walked towards the dry well in the backyard. Yi Chun had never thought of letting Zhang Chun's family off. These people must die. Because of Zhang Chun's rebellion, the great Han Emperor Lu Hong would definitely kill Zhang Chun's entire family. How could Yi Chun go against the great Han Emperor for the sake of Zhang Chun's family survival? That would only bring him endless trouble. Yi Chun was not a saint. Their life and death had nothing to do with Yi Chun. Moreover, Zhang Chun was personally killed by Yi Chun. Yi Chun would not let them off. Backyard, next to the dry well. Yi Chun glanced at the dry well and then jumped down. When he was about to reach the bottom, a hole as tall as a person appeared in front of Yi Chun. The moment Yi Chun saw the hole, his right foot kicked against the wall of the dry well, and then he jumped into the hole. The light here was extremely dim. Yi Chun waved his hand and a night illumination pearl appeared in his hand. The darkness in the hole was instantly dispelled. Yi Chun took a look at the passageway and did not discover anything strange. Then he walked up to a bronze door. The bronze door was the entrance to the secret vault. Looking at the bronze door, Yi Chun smiled. He then waved his right hand, and the key to the secret vault appeared in his hand. After finding the socket, Yi Chun inserted the key into it. Ka-ka-ka sound could be heard. The mechanism in the bronze door began to retract automatically. With a creak, the bronze door opened automatically. This was the secret vault? Seeing the room full of bookshelves behind the bronze door, Yi Chun was stunned. Where were the treasures? Where were the rare treasures? Was the secret vault AF * King Library? Filled with doubts, Yi Chun walked into the secret vault. He picked up a book and the system prompt sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining a Nameless Ancient Book X1. Do you want to start reading? Nameless Ancient Book. When Yi Chun heard the system notification, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then his eyes widened. It was a nameless ancient book that could increase one's luck. He did not expect it to be this. Thinking of this, Yi Chun made his choice without hesitation. Start reading. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for reading the Nameless Ancient Book. Luck plus 1 inch following the system prompt. The Nameless Ancient Book turned into a ball of light and disappeared without a trace. Luck seemed illusory, but at this moment, no one knew the benefits of luck better than Yi Chun. The husky that was killed by Yi Chun was in existence with a very high level of fortune. If it had not offended Yi Chun, it would have lived a good life. Even if it was hunted down by the shifters and humans, it would still be able to survive. Of course, it was now a dead dog. Among the humans, there was also a person with high luck. Although he was an idiot, his luck was out of this world. For example, if he killed a bandit that could only drop a piece of bronze equipment, it would be reasonable to say that he killed it. If a piece of silver equipment appeared, it would not be surprising. If a piece of gold equipment appeared, it would not be surprising either. Although it was not every time one killed a bandit, there would be 2 or 3 times a day. It was not until later that the players realized that in the end, it was luck that played a role. The higher the luck, the more heaven-defying the luck. Thinking of this, Yi Chun looked at the nameless ancient book in the secret vault and felt very good. Yi Chun could not estimate the exact number of nameless ancient books in this room, but he was sure that there were at least 10,000 of them. Once he used all of them, his luck was so high that there was no way he could escape. Wait. It seemed that the idiot in his previous life had been hanging out in Beiping City. Damn, no wonder his luck was out of this world. He must have gotten the key to Zhang Chun's secret vault. That was why he had such heaven-defying luck. Thinking of this, Yi Chun did not hesitate to activate the crazy reading mode. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining the nameless ancient book X1. Do you want to start reading? Begin. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for reading the nameless ancient book. Luck +1. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for reading the nameless ancient book. Luck +1. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for reading the nameless ancient book. Luck +1. One by one, the nameless ancient books turned into balls of light in the secret vault and then disappeared without a trace. Yi Chun's fortuitous encounters increased little by little, until the last nameless ancient book was used by Yi Chun. Yi Chun was so happy that he could not close his mouth. Because of Yi Chun, he had increased his luck by a total of 20,000 points. Chapter 187. 20,000 points of luck affinity. This luck affinity was unbelievable. Yi Chun smirked and scanned the secret vault. He didn't find anything else, so he left and returned to the surface. The moment Yi Chun appeared, Zhao Yun's voice was heard. "My lord, the Inhumans outside the city are requesting to speak with you." Yi Chun squinted his eyes and looked at the world channel. Indeed, the world channel was flooded with messages. "Boss Yi Chun, you're the general who pacifies the north. You can't rob the merchants in the city. We'll do it ourselves. We'll split the loot 50-50. How about that? Yi Chun, requesting to enter the city. Yi Chun, let us into the city. We guarantee that we will not have any designs on you. We will not cause any harm to you. Yes, Yi Chun, we've come a long way. You can't expect us to not be able to earn back our travel expenses." Yi Chun looked at the world channel and saw the gamers shouting at him. He curled his lips in disdain and said, "Don't bother about them. If they dare to barge into the city, kill them. Verbally abuse them, kill them." "Yes, my lord." Zhao Yun bowed and replied. Then he turned and left the backyard to guard the city gate. "My lord, the military advisor is awake." At this moment, a soldier who was taking care of Gui Jia hurriedly ran over and bowed. When Yi Chun heard this, he let out a sigh of relief and went straight into the house. As soon as Yi Chun entered the room, he saw Gui Jia sitting up against the wall with the help of the soldiers. When Gui Jia saw Yi Chun enter the room, he hurriedly stood up to greet him, but was pressed down by Yi Chun. "Feng Xiao, rest well. Don't bother about these formalities." "My lord, I've been rude." Gui Jia sighed. "I said don't bother. I don't mind. Why are you thinking so much?" Yi Chun shook his head helplessly. Gui Jia smiled and asked, "My lord, do you know where that female ghost came from?" When Yi Chun heard this, his eyes suddenly widened. He waved his hand at the soldier and said, "Don't worry. Stand guard outside the courtyard. No one is allowed to come near." "Yes, my lord." The soldier hurriedly bowed and replied. After that, he left the house and closed the door behind him. Then, he went out of the courtyard. The reason why Yi Chun was so cautious was because this matter revealed a lot of strange things. The person who was supposed to release the secret realm was supposed to appear half a year later, but now he had appeared. He even insisted on giving Yi Chun the fragment of the treasure map. His goal was to trick Yi Chun for a month. Yi Chun was well aware of the consequences of accepting the fake treasure map fragment. All kinds of negative attributes were not a joke. Even a person with 100 martial points will be crippled by it. Thinking of this, Yi Chun looked at Guo Jia and asked, "Feng Xiao, do you know where that female ghost came from?" Guo Jia nodded and said, "At first, Jia did not know her identity. However, Jia burned her with a netherworld ghost flame and obtained her information." When Yi Chun heard this, his eyes widened and he shouted, "Who is it?" "Zhao Ji." Guo Jia sighed and said, "Zhao Ji." When Yi Chun heard this, he frowned and asked, "Is the Zhao Ji that Feng Xiao mentioned the mother of the first emperor?" "Yes, my lord. Zhao Ji has been dead for many years, but her soul remains in the human world. She wants to harm my lord. She must be plotting something." Guo Jia nodded and said in a deep voice. When Yi Chun heard this, his eyes narrowed. The memories of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment and the secret realm in the underground palace from his previous life surfaced. One fragment after another appeared. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Yi Chun's eyes widened. In his previous life, the person who obtained the 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment was a female player. No, she couldn't have killed Zhao Ji's soul. She didn't have the ability to do so. However, the 9 Cauldrons treasure map was real. Zhao Ji took over that female player's body. Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes flashed. Then he frowned. Or could it be that my existence made her feel uneasy, so she appeared half a year earlier and used a fake treasure map to plot against me for a month to stop me from advancing? That must be it. Although the secret realm in the underground palace was dangerous, the strongest existence, there was only a martial power of 100. They didn't transcend the mortal world and enter the mortal evolution state. If he was allowed to develop, the weapon of reincarnation could break through to the pre-celestial state. At that time, if he led his troops into the secret realm, how could Qin Shi Huang be reborn and become a zombie emperor? Thinking of this, Yi Chun sneered. "My lord, do you have any idea?" Guo Jia looked at Yi Chun's expression. Now, he seemed to have figured something out and couldn't help but ask. Yi Chun nodded and looked at Guo Jia. "Feng Xiao, it seems that Qin Shi Huang is playing a very big game of chess. Moreover, his goal should be the same as ours. My lord, you're talking about ascending to the primordial world." Guo Jia was stunned when he heard this and shouted in shock. Yi Chun narrowed his eyes and said with certainty, "That's right. Qin Shi Huang established the Great Qin Empire with the goal of ascending to the primordial world. Although I don't know why he died in the end, his current goal is to be reborn and ascend to the primordial world again." "My lord, why do you have such a conclusion?" Guo Jia asked in confusion. Yi Chun smiled and took out the 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment. After Zhao Ji's soul was destroyed, she dropped this. Guo Jia took the 9 Cauldrons treasure map fragment and looked at it. Then he was stunned. This is a fragment of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map." Guo Jia shouted in shock. Yi Chun nodded and said, "That's right. It's a fragment of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map. Zhao Ji died many years ago, but her soul didn't dissipate. Without the protection of a treasure, her soul couldn't have survived until now. After she was killed by Feng Xiao, she only dropped a fragment of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map. This is enough to prove that her soul didn't survive until now because of a treasure." Guo Jia was stunned for a moment, and then said, "My lord, you're saying that Zhao Ji's soul was protected by the Great Qin Empire's national luck. That's why she could survive until now without the help of a treasure." Guo Jia was shocked when he said this. Then he continued, "The Great Qin Empire has been destroyed, and its national luck should have dissipated. However, Zhao Ji's soul is still here, which proves that the Great Qin Empire still exists, and its national luck hasn't been lost. Therefore, There must be a treasure that can suppress the national luck of the great Qin Empire. A fragment of the 9 Cauldrons treasure map. Qin Shi Huang has the 9 cauldrons guarding the nation. Yichen nodded and said, "That's right. Qin Shi Huang has the 9 cauldrons guarding the national luck of the great Qin Empire. That's why Zhao Ji's soul hasn't dissipated, and the souls of the great Qin Empire's millions of soldiers haven't dissipated." Chapter 188. Hearing this, Guojia came to a sudden realization and hurriedly said, "My lord, Qin Shi Huang is long dead. However, he has the 9 tripod cauldrons to suppress the fate of the pre-Qin dynasty, and his soul is immortal. My lord, your sudden rise will definitely affect his resurrection plan in the future. That's why Zhao Ji appeared to assassinate my lord and delay your development. Qin Shi Huang is bent on resurrection and wants to use the power of the 9 tripod cauldrons to ascend. Now that Zhao Ji has been killed, Qin Shi Huang will definitely not let it go. We need to be prepared as soon as possible to prevent Qin Shi Huang from acting out of desperation. It doesn't matter. If the secret realm of the underground palace is not opened, he can't come out even if he has a mighty army. The key to opening the secret realm is in my hands. If he wants to see the light of day again, he will have to see if I agree." Yichen smiled and said. Hearing this, Guojia was stunned and then asked, "My lord, are you saying that Qin Shi Huang is in the secret realm of the underground palace and the fragments of the 9 tripod cauldron treasure map are required to open the secret realm?" Yichen nodded with a smile and said, "That's right, so don't worry." Guojia was overjoyed when he heard this and said, "Congratulations, my lord. Once the Samsara army is strong, the secret realm of the underground palace can be opened. At that time, the 9 tripod cauldrons will definitely belong to the Samsara. The chances are great, but the mighty army of the pre-Qin dynasty can't be underestimated. Feng Xiao, your burden is not light." Yichen smiled and said, "Jia, I will do my best to assist you, my lord." Guojia said solemnly and instantly put on a serious expression. "Ha ha ha, Feng Xiao, you should rest first. We'll stay here for a few days. After you recover, we will go up north and flatten Wuhan." Yichen laughed and said, "My lord, Jia's body is fine. It just took some effort." Guojia said hurriedly. After saying that, he tried to stand up, but it was a pity that he failed after 2 attempts. "Feng Xiao, you don't have to do this. It's just Wuhan. A few more days won't make a difference. Besides, we originally prepared for 10 days to attack Yubeeping." Yichen shook his head helplessly when he saw that Guojia was about to get up. "My lord," Guojia wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Yichen. "Rest well. This is a military order." After Yichen finished speaking, he glared at Guojia and left. Guojia naturally felt Yichen's concern. Seeing Yichen leave, Guojia couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, and then smiled. To be able to follow the Lord is indeed a blessing. Unfortunately, there is no wine, otherwise we would celebrate. Yichen had already left. Otherwise, he would have been angered by Guojia's words. Mother asterisk Kerr. How much of a drunkard was he? He was already so weak, yet he still wanted a drink. Right north of Ping City, City Lord's residence. As soon as Yichen arrived, a soldier ran over and bowed. "My lord," a small yellow door appeared from the transportation portal and is rushing here. Mother asterisk Kerr. That was fast. Fortunately, he had made arrangements in advance. If he saw the 180,000 surrendered soldiers, it would be bad. Thinking of this, Yichen nodded and then said, "Go, box up the gold and silver in the treasury and move it here." "Yes, my lord." The soldier hurriedly bowed and then ran to carry out Yichen's orders. Mother asterisk Kerr. Damn eunuch, can't I just not go and receive him? Mother asterisk Kerr. Yichen pursed his lips and then got up and walked to the door. If he didn't receive a eunuch coming over, he would probably be punished. The probability of that happening was as high as 99%. This wasn't a good thing for Yichen. In this period of time, these eunuchs couldn't be offended. At least, not while Lu Hong was still in power. Moreover, Yichen wanted to get more benefits from these eunuchs. Naturally, he couldn't act like Lu Ji in history and put on airs. As soon as he reached the door, Yi Chan saw a very young eunuch and couldn't help but be stunned. Aya, this must be General Ping Bei of the Great Han Empire. Greetings, General Ping Bei. When the eunuch saw Yi Chan, he bowed and greeted him with a smile. Motherf asterisk Kerr. Motherf asterisk Kerr, what's going on? Weren't these eunuchs all arrogant and didn't care about anyone? That's right. Is eunuch here for the matter of the rebellion against Zhang Chun? Yi Chan didn't understand and decided not to think about it. He then asked with a smile. Aya, General Ping Bei, we're all family. Why are you calling me eunuch? Just call me by my nickname, Sandazi. The eunuch raised his thumb and middle finger and said happily. Hearing this, Yi Chan instantly understood why this eunuch was so happy. Motherf asterisk Kerr, this bastard was Zhang Changshi's subordinate and Zhang Rang's subordinate. In Zhang Changshi's eyes, Yi Chan was promoted by him. Naturally, they were family. Now that Yi Chan had killed Zhang Chun so quickly, Zhang Rang must be bragging in front of Lu Hong. Even if he didn't think highly of Yi Chan before, it didn't stop him from bragging. Previously, Lu Hong had asked Yi Chan to quell the rebellion in Yuzhou in 3 months. Not only Zhang Rang, but also all the civil and military officials in the imperial court didn't think that Yi Chan could do it. But in the end, Yi Chan directly conquered Pingcheng and killed Zhang Chun in just a few days. The rebellion in Yuzhou could basically be said to have been wiped out. The only ones left were Wu Huan, who had participated in the rebellion. However, they had always been like this. They had submitted, betrayed, submitted again, and betrayed again. They kept going back and forth. Therefore, Lu Hong didn't take them seriously. The only one that worried Lu Hong was Zhang Chun, who had occupied Pingcheng. Now, Zhang Chun had been killed by Yi Chan. It would be strange if Zhang Rang didn't seize this opportunity to brag. Moreover, Zhang Rang was solemnly telling everyone one thing. Mother of asterisk Kerr, Yi Chan was promoted by the School of Miscellanea. He was a member of the School of Miscellanea. Did you see that? The School of Miscellanea was awesome. They quelled the rebellion in Yuzhou in a few days. You even said that the School of Miscellanea was disrupting the order of the court. Why don't you go and quell the rebellion? See if you can quell the rebellion in Yuzhou in a few days. Yi Chan could even imagine Zhang Rang's smug and exaggerated expression and tone when he learned that Zhang Chun had been killed. At this thought, Yi Chan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. What Yi Chan had done in Luoyang was to distance himself from Zhang Rang. All the civil and military officials in the court had seen it and remembered it. No matter how much Zhang Rang boasted or shouted, it was useless. As long as Yi Chan didn't express his stance and didn't seek out Zhang Rang, everything would be fine. In everyone's eyes, Yi Chan was still unique. He was a general who had relied on military contributions and treasures to rise to his position. Of course, there was now one more thing to add. A peerless commander. Motherf asterisk Kerr, quelling the rebellion in a few days? Was this something a human could do? After thinking, Yi Chan's eyes flashed. Then he smiled and said, that would be too rude. Eunuch, please come in. General, His Majesty has decreed that the entire nation is celebrating. Right now, all the citizens of the Great Han Empire know of your great name. They all praise you as the marquee champion and are celebrating for you. The little eunuch Sand Z raised his thumb and middle finger, smiled sweetly, and then said, Chapter 189. Ha ha ha. It's all thanks to your Majesty's wisdom and wisdom. Otherwise, how could I have killed the traitor Zhang Chun? Yi Chan said with a chuckle. After saying that, Yi Chan led the little eunuch Sand Z into the guest hall of the city lord's mansion. At that moment, the Samsara soldiers carried boxes into the guest hall and arranged them one by one. The little eunuch was stunned when he saw the boxes. He then looked at Yi Chan and asked, General, what are these? Some local specialties. When eunuch returns to Luoyang, you might as well bring them along and give some to Zhang Changshi, Yi Chan said with a faint smile. Local specialties and whatnot were all nonsense. The boxes were filled with real gold and silver. Of course, the even more valuable purple coins and top-grade jewels all ran into Yi Chen's pocket. When the little eunuch heard that, his eyes lit up, and he said with incomparable excitement, General Zhang Changshe is truly considerate. If Zhang Changshe knows that General is on the front lines quelling the rebellion and is still thinking about giving Zhang Changshe some local specialties, he will definitely laugh until he can't sleep at night. Ha! It's good that eunuch likes it. It's good that you like it. Yi Chen laughed loudly and clapped his hands. At that moment, 8 soldiers walked in with 8 wooden boxes. Eunuch, these are the heads of the traitor Zhang Chun and his subordinates. In a moment, I'll have to trouble eunuch to bring them back, Yi Chun said with a chuckle as he pointed at the 8 wooden boxes. General, this is part of my duty. There's no need to trouble me. When the little eunuch Sanda Zi saw the 8 wooden boxes, he immediately let out a sigh of relief and said with a smile, he had come here for Zhang Chun's head. Only when Zhang Chun's head was placed in front of Lu Hong would Lu Hong be truly happy. This was also the main reason head eunuch Zhang Rang had sent him here. Of course, the other purpose was to tell Yi Chen to always remember that he was promoted by Zhang Rang, and that he should not forget his roots. However, Yi Chen's performance surprised the little eunuch, Sandazi. No matter how he looked at it, they were family. Others weren't so easy to talk to. When they saw them, they couldn't wait to blow their beards and glare at them. Yi Chen, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. Not only was he friendly, he even gave him dozens of boxes of money. If this wasn't family, then what was? Eunuch, it's rare for you to leave the palace. Why don't you stay here for a meal and a few days of sightseeing before going back? Yi Chen said with a laugh. Thank you for your concern, General. I still have to hurry back to report. When I have time, I will definitely pay a visit to General's residence. When the little eunuch Sanda Zi heard this, his eyes were filled with joy. He glanced at Yi Chen and then opened his mouth to speak. All right. As long as eunuch comes, I will definitely entertain you with great hospitality, Yi Chen said straightforwardly. Then it's a promise? The little eunuch, Sanda Zi, asked happily. It's a promise, Yi Chen said with certainty. General, you are straightforward. I will be returning to Luoyang now. I wonder if the general has any words for me to pass on to Zhang Changshe. The little eunuch, Sanda Zi, laughed and then asked. Zhang Changshe has worked hard for his majesty. He must take care of his body. Only by doing so can he live a long life. When Yi Chen heard this, he immediately sighed with emotion. General is considerate. General is considerate. I will definitely pass on your words to Zhang Changshe. I believe that after Zhang Changshe hears it, he will definitely be grinning from ear to ear. When the little eunuch Sanda Zi heard this, he said happily, Ha ha ha, eunuch, I will send you off. Yi Chen laughed and then said, The general is busy. How can I disturb the general? I can leave on my own. The little eunuch Sanda Zi finished speaking with a smile. With a wave of his hand, the chest containing the coins and the heads of Zhang Chun and the other traders in the hall instantly disappeared. General, I will take my leave. The little eunuch, Sanda Zi, raised his orchid fingers and said with a smile. Eunuch, please, Yi Chen said with a chuckle. Then, he sent the little eunuch out of the city lord's manor. Since the little eunuch said that he wasn't sending him off, Yi Chen naturally wouldn't really not send him off. Only when the little eunuch entered the teleportation array and left Yu beeping did Yi Chen let out a long sigh. F***CK. This damn eunuch's words gave me goosebumps. When he thought of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but tremble. F***CK. When Lu Hong dies, your good days will come to an end. Yi Chen looked at the teleportation array in Yu beeping and curled his lips in disdain. Then, he returned to the city lord's manor. After returning to the city lord's manor, Yi Chen looked at his harvest and the corners of his mouth curled up. F***CK, one shot of cannon, 10,000 taels of gold. It really wasn't a bluff. But even if he won, he would still earn a lot. Thinking up to this point, Yi Chen looked at his attribute panel. Then, without hesitation, he added 20 innate attribute points to his constitution. Yi Chen, third-class Marquis, General Pacifying North, City Lord of Samsara City. Title: Spear God. Characteristics: When using spear-type weapons, attack power x2, accuracy x2, comprehension plus 100, Saint class general level. 97 reputation. 11. 35 million. Increases the attractiveness of historical figures. Merit. 68. 12 million force. 100. Emperor class general's force is 93, 94, 95. Emperor class general's force is 96, 97, 98. Saint class general's force is 99,100. Constitution. Connate Taoism aptitude, 40. Primordial spirit. 1 sealed. Fortune. Profound cultivation technique. 9 revolutions mystic art, chaos. Divine night, lightning manipulation technique. Chaos. Technique. Basic spear technique, divine. Equipment. Godslayer. Damaged. Connate cardinal treasure. Fire spirit pearl. Connate spiritual treasure. Black cloud armor. Mystic, genuine, money. 4,142,000 purple coins. Items. Yang rejuvenation pill x3. Conscription order, heaven. x1. Blazing sun armor, diamond. Blueprint x1. Tempered steel spear, diamond. Blueprint x1. Soul suppressing bow, diamond. Blueprint x1. Heavy horse armor, diamond. Blueprint x1. Village creation order, gold. x5. General soul, king, x1. General soul, emperor, x7. General soul, emperor, x1. 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 Golden hammer, earth genuine, x1. Green wolf technique, emperor genuine, x1. Green wolf blade, earth genuine, x1. Wild wind technique, emperor genuine, x1. 3-pointed double-edged blade, earth genuine, x1. Earth splitting art, emperor genuine, x7. Earth splitting spear, mystic, genuine, x7. Finest jewels, x1. 32 boxes. Looking at his constitution that had increased by 20 points, Yi Chan felt a sense of comfort coming from his body. He smiled and clicked on a lottery. Ding! Do you want to start the lottery? Yes. Yi Chan made his choice without hesitation. Previously, Yi Chan had obtained a chance to draw a lottery, but he did not have the time to use it. Now that he was free, Yi Chan would naturally not keep it. Following Yi Chan's choice, a large wheel appeared in front of Yi Chan's eyes. F***CK. The items marked on the wheel were completely different from the previous lottery. There were only 5 items. Godslayer Fragment x1, 2 World Stone x 20,000, Pango Axe, damaged, Saturn Peach x10, Ginseng Fruit x 20. Chapter 190. Yi Chan stared blankly at the 5 items on the roulette wheel, his face filled with disbelief. After a few breaths, Yi Chan let out a long sigh and laughed hysterically. F***CK. F***CK. Great fortune. This was great fortune. None of the 5 items were trash. Godslayer Fragment. It could increase the Godslayer's integrity and enhance the Godslayer's abilities. Needless to say, this was very important. 2 World Stone x 20,000. If he could get it, Yi Chan could bring 20,000 loyal followers into the real world. This was also very important. Panga's Axe. Incomplete, this was a chaos treasure. The axe that Panga used to split open the sky. Needless to say, this was the best item out of the 5. Peach of Immortality x10. Even if a 3,000-year-old Peach of Immortality might not make one a divine immortal, it would make one an earth immortal. Moreover, not only could the Peach of Immortality increase one's strength, but it could also transform one's bone structure into an immortal bone. Ginseng Fruit x20. This was on the same level as the Peach of Immortality. Although it was not as powerful as the 9,000-year-old Peach of Immortality, it was still very powerful. It could also enhance one's bone structure and transform one into an immortal. Yi Chan wanted any one of the 5 items. Of course, Yi Chan wanted all of them. Unfortunately, this was a lucky draw, and he could only draw one at a time. Yi-Chun had just thought of this when the system beeped. Ding! Player Yi-Chun has 5 seconds left to choose. After that, he will automatically give up on the lucky draw. F*CK. Give up my ass. It was not easy to come across 5 good items. How could he give up? The lucky draw began. The wheel started to spin. Looking at the 5 items on the wheel changing positions, Yi-Chun's mood was also changing. Who would have thought that the lucky draw this time would coincide with an explosion of good fortune? This was really a stroke of luck. F*CK. I don't know which item I will get. It would be best if it was the Pangu's axe, but F*CK. I want the others too. Yi-Chun felt somewhat conflicted. Then, he casually tapped the stop button. The spinning speed of the roulette will began to slow down, and then it slowed down again. One item after another. The pointer continued to move. When the needle of the roulette will stopped and pointed at the god-slaying spear fragment X1, Yi-Chun's eyes widened. This speed, the possibility of it being a Godslayer fragment was more than 90%. As long as the Godslayer obtained the fragment, its power would definitely increase by a lot. Just as Yi-Chun thought of this, the needle stopped. Just as Yi-Chun thought, the pointer pointed to the location of the Godslayer fragment. F*CK. It really was a fragment of a Godslayer. At this moment, the needle suddenly moved a little. It was very small, but it deviated from its original position. Yi-Chun was stunned when he saw the pointer between the 2 world stone X 20,000 and the Godslayer fragment X1. What the F*CK? Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-Chun for obtaining 2 world stones X 20,000. Yi-Chun's face stiffened when he heard the system notification. F*CK. This was the trashiest item out of the 5. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-Chun for obtaining Godslayer fragment X1. F*CK. That worked? Yi-Chun was stunned. He looked at the 2 items that appeared in front of him. A small box and a black fragment. He really got it. F*CK. No wonder that idiot in his previous life was hated by so many people. Damn, I'm so lucky. It's definitely a hateful attribute. Thinking of this, the corners of Yi-Chun's mouth curled up as he grabbed the 2 items in front of him. Looking at the 2 items in his hand, Yi-Chun smiled. He waved his right hand, and the Godslayer appeared. At this moment, there was a buzzing sound. The Godslayer started to vibrate on its own. At this moment, the Godslayer fragment in Yi-Chun's hand flew towards the Godslayer. There was a flash of black light, and the Godslayer fragment disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi-Chun for recovering 1% of the Godslayer. Godslayer, damaged primordial treasure. It was damaged when Pangu created the heavens and fell into the mortal world. It has been restored by 1%. After use, the soul will be bound. It cannot be dropped, traded, or stolen. Special characteristics. 1. Shatter. Shatter weapons lower than the Godslayer. The lower the grade, the higher the chance. 2. Soul Devour. Devour souls. The stronger the target, the lower the chance. Soul Devour. Yi-Chun's eyes narrowed when he saw the Godslayer's new special characteristics. This kind of characteristic was an extremely abnormal existence. Of course, this was relative to players. To be more specific, if a player killed by Yi-Chun triggered the Godslayer's Soul Devour special characteristic, the player would die completely regardless of whether it was in the game or in real life. There would be no chance of revival. Even in the beginner's area of the 3 kingdoms, players could revive after death, and their lifespan would not be affected. However, this could not stop the Godslayer's Soul Devour special characteristic. As long as the Godslayer's Soul Devour special characteristic was triggered, there would only be one outcome for the player, that was death. F*CK. He did not expect the Godslayer to be so abnormal. It had only been restored by 1%. Luckily, he was the one who got the Godslayer and not someone else. Yi-Chun smirked. He grabbed the Godslayer and put it back in his body. Yi-Chun looked at the small wooden box and opened it. Clatter. 20,000 2-world stones fell to the ground. At this moment, the wooden box turned into a ball of light and disappeared. Yi-Chun smirked when he saw the 2 world stones that took up half of the hall. F*CK. I have enough 2 world stones now. Not only that, but I can also bring a lot of soldiers back to the real world. Yichen looked at the soldiers guarding the door and ordered, "Go. Get General Zilong, General Zhao Meng, and the Samsara Legion here." "Yes, my lord." When the soldier on duty heard this, he hurriedly bowed and responded. Then, he ran to find Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng. Yichen called Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng over for a simple reason. He wanted them to use the 2 world stones. As for the 2 world stones on the ground, Yichen put away 9,998 of them and left the rest in the hall. There were no outsiders here. Yichen was not afraid that someone would steal the 2 world stones. Moreover, no one knew what the 2 world stones were for. Before long, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, and the Samsara Legion arrived. Of course, the mayor's mansion could not hold so many people. Most of the Samsara Legion soldiers were waiting on the streets outside. Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng were stunned when they entered the room. Then their eyes widened. Originally, they were wondering why there were so many stones in the room. However, they immediately recognized the origin of the stones. The stones in the hall were not real stones. They were 2 world stones. The 2 world stones that could follow their lord into the real world. Not long ago, Dian Wei used a 2 world stone. They remembered it clearly. Naturally, they would not forget what the 2 world stone looked like. The 2 of them looked at each other, then knelt down on one knee and bowed loudly. They shouted, "Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, is willing to follow my lord to your world. I will follow you forever. If I break this oath, may I be destroyed by the heavens." Chapter 191. Yichen looked at Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng, who were swearing solemnly and couldn't help but smile. Then he helped them up and said solemnly, "Zilong, Zhao Meng, I called you here because I trust you 100%. Go, each of you take a piece. I'll bring you to my world later." "Yes, my lord." Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng shouted in unison. After that, they each picked up a piece of 2 world stone and used it without hesitation. At this moment, Yichen looked outside the door. Standing at the very front were 10 excited Kiliarchs, as well as the soldiers of the Samsara Legion. At this moment, they understood what Yichen wanted to do. He wanted to bring them to Yichen's world. No one was not excited. No one was not excited. In their opinion, if they could go to Yichen's world and continue to follow Yichen, it would be an unparalleled honor. "You have followed me on the battlefield for some time. Today's opportunity has arrived. Are you willing to follow me to my world?" Yichen came to the door and shouted. The 10,000 soldiers of the Samsara Legion were all loyal to the death. Otherwise, Yichen wouldn't have chosen them. "Yes, yes, yes." The 10,000 soldiers of the Samsara Legion raised their spears and shouted in unison. "Very good. Now, come forward and receive your 2 world stones." Yichen nodded in satisfaction and shouted, "Yes, my lord." The soldiers of the Samsara Legion replied excitedly. The Kiliarchs of the Samsara Legion immediately ordered the soldiers to line up and receive their 2 world stones. After receiving their 2 world stones, the soldiers of the Samsara Legion used them without hesitation. When the 10,000 soldiers of the Samsara Legion used their 2 world stones, Yichen smiled slightly and shouted, "Everyone in the back of the line is behind you." The people at the back grabbed the shoulders of the people in front. "Don't miss anything. There will be a pulling force later. Remember, don't resist." "Yes, my lord." The soldiers of the Samsara Legion replied in unison. Swoosh! The soldiers of the Samsara Legion raised their arms and grabbed the shoulders of the people in front of them. Yichen looked at Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng. Seeing this, the 2 of them walked to the Kiliarchs and grabbed a Chiliarch each. Yichen smiled, then walked forward, grabbed Zhao Yun's shoulders, and shouted again, "Don't resist." In the next second, the Samsara Legion on the street, Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng, all disappeared. The Samsara City. Crunch, crunch. Yinhu munched on the spirit stones with big bites. His tiger eyes narrowed into a grin. Crunch, crunch. At this moment, the space in the hall and outside of the mansion suddenly distorted. Tens of thousands of golden lights suddenly appeared. When the golden light dissipated, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, and the 10,000 soldiers of the Samsara Legion instantly appeared in the main hall of the city lord's mansion, in the front courtyard, and on the streets outside. Yinu glanced at the crowd and realized that they were all Yi Chen's subordinates. He was stunned, then ran to the diamond-level gaming chamber. Click! The door of the diamond-level gaming chamber slowly opened. When the door was fully opened, Yi Chen opened his eyes, then stood up and walked out. "Greetings, my lord." Tens of thousands of people shouted in unison, their voices shaking the sky. If there were people outside of the Samsara city, they would definitely be dumbfounded. This nickname actually appeared in the real world. Was this a movie? Or was this a movie? Of course, it was impossible for it to be a movie. After the meteor fell, the world changed dramatically. The wilderness was full of wandering beasts and even monsters. It could be said that every step was filled with danger. Humans only dare to live in the so-called safe cities. Even if they lived in the so-called safe cities, they could be killed by others at any time, who would be so bored that they would go to the movies. Even if they did, no one would watch them. Of course, after being dumbfounded, they would immediately realize that Yi Chen had brought the people from the game world out. The Samsara city in the real world and the call of my lord made it easy for people to connect the two together. And the reality was exactly like that. Yi Chen looked at the densely packed Samsara Legion soldiers, nodded with a smile, and said, "This is my world. There's also a Samsara city here. If you want to go back, just say it in your heart. Remember, you can only return normally when you are not in combat." "Yes, my lord," the Samsara Legion soldiers shouted in unison. "Familiarize yourselves. If you want to see the outside world, you can go up the city wall or go out of the city. However, if you go out of the city, don't go more than 300 meters away from the city wall. Later, we will return to that world." Yi Chen smiled and said. Yi Chen said this because currently, none of the Samsara Legion soldiers had broken through to the innate realm. Such strength was not considered strong in the real world because there were already monsters in the demon clan. It was fine to go out of the city, but if they went too far away from the city and exceeded the automatic defense range of the city wall, it would be dangerous. The monsters would not care who you were or whose subordinate you were. As long as they saw a human, all the monsters would make the same choice, to eat you. "Yes, my lord," the Samsara Legion's soldiers shouted in unison again. At this moment, their hearts were filled with excitement and curiosity, because they really followed Yi Chen to the real world. They also wanted to see what kind of world their Lord Yi Chen was in. The Samsara Legion soldiers ran to the city wall in groups. The more curious ones ran directly to the city gate, ready to go out of the city to take a look. Of course, they would not disobey Yi Chen's orders. Even if they went out of the city, they would not go more than 300 meters away from the city wall. Looking at the curious Samsara Legion soldiers looking around, Yi Chen felt very happy. In the real world, he finally had a group of subordinates to order around. It would be convenient for him to do anything in the future. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng in the hall and said, "You two can also go out of the city to take a look, but don't go too far. There are monsters everywhere outside this world." Zhao Yun was shocked when he heard this. He hurriedly asked, "My lord, are the demon clan in this world that strong?" Obviously, Zhao Yun also had some understanding of the demon clan. Yi Chen nodded and said, "In this world, the demon clan is very strong. In this world and that world, the demon race is very strong. Zilong may have met demon race before, and he may have killed them. However, those are just small fries. The real demon race army will appear soon." "My lord, you mean that the demon clan will appear in that world soon?" Zhao Yun asked in surprise, his eyes narrowing. "Yes, in 2 months at most, the demon clan army will appear and cause trouble." Yi Chen nodded and said. Chapter 192. The 2 months Yi Chen mentioned was actually the time when the Yellow Turban Rebellion would begin. Once the Yellow Turban Rebellion began, chaos would follow. The Yellow Turban Rebellion would not be the only ones to stir up trouble. This was also the reason why Yi Chen ordered Zhao Heng to build a wall at the entrance of the Reincarnation Valley. Zhao Yun was silent for a moment, then looked at Yi Chun and said, "My lord, in this case, the reincarnation soldiers must be equipped as soon as possible. Archers, sword-shield soldiers, spearmen, heavy-armored cavalry, and heavy-armored infantry must all be formed." Yi Chun nodded and said, "Yes, we do need to be equipped. Our current equipment is not enough to deal with the demon race. We must be heavy-armored." Yi Chun had just said this when a soldier of the Samsara Legion hurried over, got down on one knee, and shouted, "My lord, there are many mutants outside the West Gate. Initial estimates say there are about 10,000 of them." Yi Chun frowned when he heard this. Why did they leave the safety of the city? If they wanted to leave, then so be it. Why did they come to me? Had Reincarnation City been discovered? Or, thinking of this, he narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng. He said, "Let's go and take a look." "Yes, my lord." "My lord." Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng bowed in unison, then followed Yi Chun towards the West Gate. In the real world, outside the West Gate of Reincarnation City, as soon as Yi Chun appeared with Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng, there was a wave of exclamations. "Holy shit, that's Yi Chun. It's really Yi Chun. Damn, I was wondering why there was suddenly a city with two ancient characters carved on it, Reincarnation. So it really is Yi Chun's Reincarnation City. It seems that the rumors are true. The village creation token can really be used in the real world. Then if we build a village here, won't we have a conflict with Yi Chun? Mother asterisk her, look, the white-robed young general by Yi Chun's side. Is it Zhao Yun? F asterisk CK. It really was Zhao Yun. I was wondering why there were people wearing armor and wielding weapons, and all of them were dressed like ancient people. That's not right. F asterisk CK. This is the real world. How did people from the game come out? F asterisk CK. Can people in the game come to the real world? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. When Yi Chun heard this, he immediately reacted. What were these people doing here? Damn, he really knows how to pick a place. This was originally a forest park in the city. After the meteor fell, a spirit spring appeared. The spirit spring was a blessed land that could nurture spiritual medicines. In the future, it would be an existence that everyone would fight over. That was why Yi Chun thought that way. Of course, these people were also blind cats running into a dead mouse to come here. It was impossible for them to know about the spirit spring. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a scar on his face walked out of the crowd. The moment he saw Yi Chun, he immediately laughed and cupped his fists. "Brother Yi Chun, I didn't expect to meet you so soon. I'm Shun Hu, the leader of the Black Tiger Gang. I wonder if Brother Yi Chun still remembers me? This is my territory. If you want to build a village, go elsewhere." Yi Chun glanced at Shun Hu and said. When Shun Hu heard this, he looked at Zhao Yun, who was beside Yi Chun, and then looked at the Samsara Legion soldiers at the city gate and on the city wall. He suddenly smiled and said with great alacrity, "No problem, no problem. Since Brother Yi Chun built Samsara City here, this is Brother Yi Chun's territory. The Black Tiger Gang will definitely not take over Brother Yi Chun's territory. I want to see you off." Yi Chun glanced at Shun Hu and said, "Brother Yi Chun, we'll leave right away. But before we leave, I have a question. I wonder if Brother Yi Chun can help me clear it up?" Shun Hu's face stiffened, and then he asked with an embarrassed smile. "Not interested." Yi Chun didn't even look and went straight into the city. When he reached the city gate, he shouted, "Kill anyone who dares to come close." "Yes, my lord." The Samsara Legion's soldiers shouted in unison. Shun Hu looked at Yi Chun's back as he left. One moment it was green, the next it was white. It was really ugly. However, he didn't dare to say anything to keep up appearances. Even though his underlings were looking at him strangely, he still didn't dare to say anything. This was because he was afraid of death. He was afraid that if he angered Yi Chun, he would be mercilessly killed by Yi Chun. To him, Yi Chun was simply inhuman. He was too F*** terrifying. He dared to single-handedly challenge the Yanhuang Alliance and kill Alliance leader Niu and young Master Niu. He didn't dare to offend Yi Chun alone, not to mention that Yi Chun had brought the Samsara Legion out of the game. There was also Zhao Yun and a general that he had never seen before. With a creak, the city gate of Samsara City closed. Looking at the soldiers on the city wall, Shun, who suddenly realized how small he was. Comparing oneself to others would only make one angry. This was Shun Hu's mentality at this moment. "Boss, what do we do?" One of them looked at Shun Hu and asked. "Let's go. We can't build a village here. Otherwise, we'll definitely be attacked by Yichun," Shun Hu said with an ugly expression. "But there aren't any beasts or monsters nearby." One of the Black Tiger Gang's subordinates said unwillingly. "Pa!" Shun Hu gave his subordinate a hard slap and scolded. "Don't you understand? There aren't any beasts or monsters here because Yichun is here. Samsara City is here. They don't dare to come over." In reality, Shun Hu was wrong. It wasn't that there weren't any beasts or monsters here. Not only that, but there were quite a few of them. However, most of them were playing games in their lairs. Those that came out to play were those that had just logged out of the game or wanted to fill their stomachs. "Boss, where are we going?" One of the Black Tiger Gang's subordinates asked. "We're not going anywhere," Shun Hu snorted and said. The Black Tiger Gang subordinates were confused by Shun Hu's words. One moment, Shun Hu said that he wasn't going to build a village here. The next moment, he said that he wasn't going anywhere. What was he trying to do? "Boss," one of Shun Hu's subordinates asked curiously. "Go to a safe city and catch a few hundred people. Let them bleed." Shun Hu looked at Samsara City and said viciously, "Let them bleed." Shun Hu's subordinates were stunned. "Boss, I understand," one of them said in surprise. His eyes lit up. "Good that you understand. Hurry up and catch as many as you can. Come back quickly while there aren't any beasts or monsters on the road," Shun Hu said with a cold smile. "Okay, boss. I promise I'll be back soon." Shun Hu's subordinate nodded and said. After that, he left with his group of subordinates. Chapter 193. In the real world, Samsara City. Yichun couldn't help but frown after the city gates were closed. "My lord, are you worried that the people outside are plotting against Samsara City?" Zhao Yun asked when he saw Yichun's frown. Yichun narrowed his eyes and said, "There's no need to worry about that. Anyone who dares to plot against Samsara City will only end up dead. If they're not afraid of death, then they can come at us." When Yichun said this, he saw Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng's puzzled expressions. He couldn't help but smile. "I'm frowning because of one thing. If they can build a village here, then there will be others. It's fine in the short term, but as time goes by, there will be trouble." "Master, why did they all choose this place?" Zhao Yun could not help but be taken aback when he heard this. Yichun curled his lips in disdain and said, "It's because of that. There are no ferocious beasts or demonic beasts here. Unfortunately, they only see the surface and don't see the real situation. There may not be many demonic beasts here, but there are definitely more than 1,000,000 ferocious beasts. Most of them are squirrels. Moreover, the speed at which the beasts reproduce is increased by several times. By then, there will be more than 1,000,000. This doesn't include the birds and insects. My lord, if that's the case, isn't it better for them to build a village nearby? With them around, they can take a part of the demon attack for Samsara City." Zhao Meng asked doubtfully. Yichun sighed and said, You're right, but there's one thing you haven't considered. If they build one village after another around Samsara City and then develop it into a city, Samsara City will be like a turtle in a jar by then. Going out and returning will be restricted. Moreover, if they suddenly attack the Samsara soldiers will suffer heavy losses. Even if we can kill those bastards, what can we do? Can the soldiers who sacrifice themselves come back?" Hearing this, Zhao Meng's expression changed. He hastily bowed and said, "This general was unable to understand the pros and cons. Please forgive me, my lord." When Yichun saw Zhao Meng asking for forgiveness, he could not help but be stunned. Then he smiled helplessly and said, "That was just speaking. Even if it was wrong, it is not wrong. There is no need to be like this in the future." "Yes, my lord." Zhao Meng laughed awkwardly and said. At this moment, Zhao Yun frowned, then looked at Yichun and said, "My lord, to prevent this from happening, I need you to issue a notice as soon as possible. Any village that appears near Samsara is an enemy of Samsara. If you find one, flatten it." When Yi-Chen heard this, he couldn't help but sigh. Originally, I didn't plan to do this, at least not for the time being. I didn't think that they would come here to build a village. If they were to build a village, it should be near a safe city. In his previous life, this was the territory of the black fish that Yi-Chen had trampled on. There are no cities built by humans in the vicinity. It was for this reason that Yi-Chen did not think that anyone would come here to build a village. But in this life, there were some changes. The Black Tiger Gang had run to a forest park far away from a safe city. This was where Samsara City was now located to build a village. When he thought of this, Yi-Chen narrowed his eyes and said, "It seems that we really need to issue a notice now." After saying this, Yi-Chen looked at Zhao Meng and ordered, "Zhao Meng, go and arrange for some people to observe the people outside the city. If they do anything strange, inform me immediately. There's a button on the game capsule. Press it, and I will receive the news." "Yes, my lord." When Zhao Meng heard this, his eyes suddenly widened and he bowed. Yi-Chen smiled and looked at Zhao Yun. "Zilong, Feng Xiao is a little weak and can't march for the time being. You can stay in this world or return to the other world. Just take it as a rest. If you need food in this world, you can hunt outside the city or return to the other world to settle it." "Yes, my lord. I'll stay here for the time being. Those people outside the city aren't good people. They have a strong Jianghu aura on them. I'm afraid they'll be detrimental to Samsara." When Zhao Yun heard this, he nodded and bowed. "Anything is fine." Yi-Chen smiled and said. With that, he walked towards the castellan's mansion. "Zilong, will those people really attack Samsara City?" Zhao Meng looked at Zhao Yun and asked with a murderous look in his eyes. His murderous look was not directed at Zhao Yun, but at the Black Tiger Gang outside the city. "That is very likely. The clouds have a strong sense of evil. Shun Hu, who calls himself the leader of the Black Tiger Gang, has a very strong sense of evil on him." Zhao Yun nodded and said, "Those damn bastards. How dare they attack Samsara City? I will go out of the city and kill them." Zhao Meng said angrily, "The matter hasn't happened yet. Don't act rashly. You will make more enemies for the Lord." Zhao Yun sighed and said, "But won't it be too late if they really do something to harm Samsara City?" Zhao Meng frowned and asked, "Master's intention is to wait and see. In Master's opinion, they are nothing more than dogs and chickens. There is no need to worry about them at all." Hearing this, Zhao Yun couldn't help but smile and say, "That's right. The Lord's bravery is unparalleled in the world. Even if those people outside were added together, they wouldn't be enough to kill the Lord." Zhao Meng nodded and said emotionally, "Big Brother is right. The Lord's power is indeed unparalleled in the world. Moreover, I feel that the Lord has a force that even my master has never seen before. It is as though the Lord can break through the void at any time." Zhao Yun said with a smile, "The Lord has already entered the mortal evolution state." Zhao Meng was stunned and asked, "It should be. I didn't feel any pressure when facing the Lord before, but now I feel it." Zhao Yun nodded and said, "The Lord's steps are getting faster and faster. I have to work harder. Otherwise, how can I continue to follow the Lord?" Zhao Meng said and clenched his fists. "Yun, you have to work harder too." Zhao Yun said emotionally. City Lord Manor. After Yi-Chen returned, he walked straight to the Diamond Gaming Pod and lay down. With a creak, the door of the gaming pod closed. Prehistoric game, 3 Kingdoms, Yuzhou, right Baping City Lord Manor. A pillar of light suddenly appeared. Yi-Chen, who had left for a while, appeared in the hall of the City Lord Manor. It was time to announce the announcement. Thinking about this, Yi-Chen narrowed his eyes and sent a message on the World Channel. In the real world, the area within 100 miles of Samsara City is Samsara territory. No one is allowed to build a village. Anyone who violates this will be an enemy of Samsara. Chapter 194. Yi-Chen's words caused an uproar in the World Channel. F***CK. What I just see? Boss Yi-Chen has spoken. F***CK. How can you say that? Didn't you see the real content? Reincarnation City. There's a reincarnation city in the real world. F***CK. If that's the case, the real village creation token also exists and can be used in the real world? That's definitely the case. Didn't you see what Boss Ichin said? A reincarnation city in the real world. F***CK. F***CK. If a village can be built in the real world, doesn't that mean the real world is also a game world? What game world? I feel like this is the real world. I just found a woman in this world, and she has the exact same experience. Also, she's pregnant. F***CK. You're awesome. But is what you said true? Can a woman in the game sleep with you? Of course. F***CK. How else would she get pregnant? But you have to get enough favorability from the woman. Otherwise, they'll all commit suicide. F***CK. You beast. You must be a lord. F***CK. I want to be a lord too. F***CK. Don't change the topic. Didn't you see what Boss Ichin said? Please tell me, which city is Boss Ichin in? I want to go there and join him. Are you an idiot? Do you dare to go to another city? You'll become a pile of monster feces halfway there. Beauty Alliance congratulates General Yichun for building a reincarnation city in the real world. At the same time, Beauty Alliance promises to never build a village within 100 miles of Reincarnation City. Templar Town congratulates General Yichun for building a reincarnation city in the real world. Right north Ping City, Castellan's mansion. Yichun looked at the content on the World Channel. His eyes narrowed and a cold light flashed. The notice had been sent out. If there's more, don't blame me. In the game, you might be able to revive. But in the real world, you're dead. Don't think I won't kill you. Thinking of this, Yichun let out a long sigh. Then, he went to the back of the city lord manor and gave a 2-world stone to Guojia. My lord, this is a 2-world stone. Guojia stared blankly at the 2-world stone in his hand before his eyes lit up. Yes, it is the 2-world stone. Feng Xiao, are you willing to follow me to my world? Yichun smiled and nodded. I'm willing. Jia is of course willing to follow you to your world. Ha. Last time when Dianwei used it, Jia thought that I would have to wait for a long time. I didn't expect to have it now. Guojia nodded with certainty. After speaking, he chose to use it without hesitation. It's good that you're willing. Don't resist. I'll take you there first, and then we'll come back to continue our cultivation. Yichun said with a smile. He then grabbed Guojia's shoulder and went offline with a thought. Guojia, who was lying on the bed, also disappeared. In the real world, Samsara City, City Lord's mansion. A ball of golden light suddenly appeared, and then Guojia sat down from half a meter high. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Guojia sat down heavily on the ground. Hiss! Guojia sat down heavily, and the pain made him suck in a breath of cold air. Yinu glanced at Guojia, and his tiger mouth instantly drew back. No matter how one looked at it, he was gloating. Creak! The door of the gaming capsule opened. Yichun stood up from the inside. When he saw Guojia's miserable state, he couldn't help but be stunned. Feng Xiao, did you fall down? My lord, Jia. I sat down half a meter from the ground. Guojia looked at Yichun and said sadly. Sat down half a meter from the ground. Yichun was stunned for a moment before he realized what Guojia meant. When Guojia appeared, he maintained a sitting posture and appeared half a meter high. Then, he sat straight on the ground. This was exactly the same as Guojia's posture in the game, and his height from the ground. One must know that before Guojia came to the real world, he sat on the bed and leaned against the wall. That bed was exactly half a meter high. Damn, bringing someone to the real world, and it was like this was something that had never happened before. Thinking of this, Yichun's mouth twitched. Then he asked, Feng Xiao, is it serious? It's just a little painful. It's not a big deal. Guojia rubbed his waist and sighed. Feng Xiao, don't blame me. This is the first time something like this has happened. Next time Feng Xiao comes to this world, remember, don't sit down. You must stand, and don't be too high from the ground. Yichun said apologetically. Why would Jia blame my lord? My lord definitely didn't know about this. Otherwise, he would have reminded Jia. Hiss! Guojia smiled bitterly. Feng Xiao, Return to the other world first and find a doctor. It's not easy to recuperate here. Yi Chen sighed and said, My lord, Jia hasn't seen my lord's world yet. Guo Jia was interrupted by Yi Chen before he could finish. There will be time in the future. What can you see in your current state? Now, return to the other world. This is a military order. Yes, my lord. My lord. Guo Jia felt warmth in his heart and said, Wilderness game, beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms, governor's residence of Beiping City. Yi Chen, who had left not long ago, appeared again. Guo Jia was with him. Feng Xiao, remember to send someone to deliver this to the Wei clan of Hedong. Tell them to do as they see fit. Yi Chen looked at Guo Jia, who was sitting on the bed again, and said, Yi Chen was referring to the weapon that could prove that the Wei clan of Hedong had participated in the rebellion. No one would believe that the Wei clan of Hedong had rebelled. However, if it was Yi Chen who said it, the result would be different. It would be strange if the Wei clan of Hedong was not afraid. Of course, the Wei clan of Hedong would definitely hate Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen did not care. After all, he had Cayenne. Who cares? He would use force and slap their faces until they were swollen. If that didn't work, he would kill them all. Guo Jia nodded and said, Don't worry, my lord. I have already sent someone to deliver this to the Wei clan of Hedong. I guarantee that nothing will go wrong. Feng Xiao, rest first. I'll go find a doctor to take a look at Feng Xiao. Yi Chen smiled and said, My lord, the physician is not important. As long as you can get me 10 bottles of Baiwa wine, Jia's illness will be cured soon. Guo Jia's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this, and then he said, Okay, 1 bottle a day. Give me 10 days. Yi Chen's face froze when he heard Guo Jia's shameless words. Then he left the backyard. I want 10 bottles a day. Guo Jia was stunned and then said, Unfortunately, Yi Chen had already left. Yi Chen could not hear what Guo Jia said. Yi Chen went to the front yard and sent someone to find a physician to examine Guo Jia's waist. Then he left the governor's residence. Yi Chen had something to do and had to return to Samsara City. Naturally, he could not waste time in Beiping City, Samsara City's teleportation portal. Yi Chen was stunned when he appeared. There were many merchants whispering to each other outside the teleportation portal. Greetings, my lord. The Samsara City soldier guarding the teleportation portal saw Yi Chen and hurried forward to greet him. Yi Chen nodded and then asked, Where is the vice-governor? My lord, Vice-Governor Zhao is in the restaurant receiving merchants who have come to purchase Baiwa wine. The soldier hurriedly replied when he heard Yi Chen's question. Sure enough, after the teleportation portal was set up, merchants who wanted to purchase Baiwa wine came. Those premium resources were not going to run away. Yi Chen smiled at this thought and then asked, Where is General Dian? My lord, General Dian Wei is training the new 180,000 rebel soldiers. The soldier replied. Dian Wei, on the other hand, was quite serious. Yi Chen could not help but smile at this thought. Then he walked toward the governor's residence. Samsara City's residence, governor's residence. As soon as Yi Chen arrived at the backyard, he heard a cheerful laughter. It was very clear, very pleasant, and also very comfortable. There seemed to be one more person, Yi Chen wondered. He walked through the round door and then froze. Yi Chen knew Zhao Yu, Diao Chan, and Kai Yan, but Yi Chen did not know the other girl. Husband. At this moment, Zhao Yu saw Yi Chen. She was stunned for a moment before she called out in surprise. Diao Chan turned around and saw Yi Chen. Then she said sweetly, My husband. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. Then he looked at the girl who was holding Kai Yan's hand. Wenji greets the general. Kai Yan glanced at Yi Chen and then nodded. Mi Zhen greets the general. The girl looked at Yi Chen and then bowed. Mi Zhen, Yi Chen was stunned for a moment, then his eyes suddenly widened. Chapter 195. When Yi Chen heard the name Mi Zhen, he did not know who it was. But soon, the name Lady Mi appeared in Yi Chen's mind. Yi Chen might be unfamiliar with Mi Zhen, but Yi Chen knew Lady Mi. Because in history, Lady Mi was the wife of Liu Bei. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that Mi Zhen was also recognized by Wisdom Pangu as a beautiful concubine. Moreover, Mi Jun was still a young girl and did not know Liu Bei. Thinking of this, Yi Chun felt happy. Mi Jun must be poached. Damn, I poached Chao Liu Bei back and forth. Not bad, not bad. Mi Jun saw that Yi Chun was staring at her. She blushed, bowed her head, and said timidly, "Brother Yi, don't worry." General. When Yi Chun heard Mi Jun's shy call, he could not help but be surprised. Mi Jun's words did not have the slightest hint of disgust. Otherwise, Yi Chun would not be surprised. After coming back to his senses, Yi Chun looked at Mi Jun and said with a smile, "I just remembered something. Don't blame me, don't blame me." Mi Jun replied in a low voice. "Didn't husband go to attack Yubei Ping City? Why did you come back so quickly?" Zhao Yu asked with some doubt. She was surprised when she said this. Diao Chan, Kai Yin, and Mi Jun were also surprised. In the next second, the four women opened their eyes wide and shouted in shock, "Husband, General, has already taken Yubei Ping City." When Yi Chun heard this, he could not help but be surprised. When he was at Yubei Ping City, Sandazi, a little eunuch from Luoyang said that Lu Hong had issued a decree and the whole country was celebrating. But now, the four women's behavior clearly showed that they did not know that Yubei Ping City had already been taken. As soon as Yi Chun's doubts appeared, he immediately realized something. Damn it, Samsara City is my private property. Lu Hong's decree to celebrate the whole country should be passed to Yangla County. How could it be passed to Samsara City? Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but smile. Then he nodded and said, "That is indeed the case. Ping City in the right north has been captured. Zhang Chun and the other traitors have been executed. Congratulations, husband, on your triumphant return." Zhao Yu and Diao Chan were overjoyed when they heard this. "Congratulations, General, for your triumphant return." Kai Yin and Mi Jun also spoke. Hearing the four women's words of congratulations, Yi Chun smiled slightly and then looked at Kai Yin. Zhao Yu and Diao Chan were sincerely happy, and Mi Jun was sincerely congratulating him. Only Kai Yin was a little different. Although Kai Yin also congratulated Yi Chun on his victory, there was a trace of worry in her voice. How could Yi Chun not know what she was worried about? She was worried that the Wei family in Hudong would be ruined by Yi Chun. Of course, Kai Yin was just being kind. She did not care about the Wei family in Hudong. In Kai Yin's opinion, the Wei family in Hudong was being bullied by Yi Chun because of her. Yi Chun liked her and forbade her to leave Samsara City for the rest of her life. Because of this, Kai Yin felt guilty about the Wei family in Hudong. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and say, "It's done." Then, Kai Wenji was happy and worried at the same time. She opened her mouth but did not know what to say. "General, what's done?" Mi Jun asked curiously. When Yi Chun heard this, he looked at Mi Jun in surprise. He did not expect Mi Jun to be a curious child. "General, I didn't mean to do—" Seeing Yi Chun looking at her, Mi Jun suddenly realized that it was not her place to ask about Yi Chun's private affairs. After all, she was not related to Yi Chun. "It doesn't matter. By the way, do you know Wenji?" Yi Chun smiled and asked. When Yi Chun came to the back house, he saw Kai Yin holding hands with Mi Jun. Obviously, they were very familiar with each other. "Yes, General. I came to Samsara City with my brother. My brother went to see Zhao Heng, the deputy castellan. I want to help my brother, so I came here to visit my two sisters. I didn't expect Sister Wenji to be here too." Mi Jun suddenly stopped and covered her mouth. She didn't dare to continue speaking. Obviously, what she said had something to do with the fact that Kai Yin did not go to the Wei family in Hudong to get married, but went to live in Samsara City. Yi Chun could tell, but he did not take it to heart. It was no big deal. There was nothing to hide. Moreover, the Wei family in Hudong would soon explain why Kai Yin did not marry Wei Zhongdao. Moreover, they had to defile themselves so that they would not affect Kai Yin in the slightest. Otherwise, the Wei family in Hudong would be killed first and reported later by Yi Chun. The Wei family in Hudong must have realized this. And this was what Yi Chun wanted the Wei family in Hudong to understand. "Is your brother Mi Zhu, Mi Zijong?" Yi Chun asked Mi Jun with a smile. "Yes, he is," Mi Jun said, blushing. "She came here to help Mi Zhu with business." When she heard Yi Chen's question, she felt a little embarrassed. I have heard of your brother's name, but I have not had the chance to meet him. Since he is in Samsara City, we should drink to our heart's content, Yi Chen said with a smile. Mi Zhen was taken aback by his words. She could tell from Yi Chen's words that he wanted to recruit Mi Zhu. When she came to her senses, Mi Zhen's eyes lit up. She hurriedly said, Mi Zhen will ask my brother to come here to meet you, General. Yi Chen paused for a moment, then said with a smile, Don't bother. I will meet Zizhong in person later. Then. Mi Zhen opened her mouth, but before she could finish, Diao Chan pulled her aside. While Mi Zhen was puzzled, Diao Chan whispered into Mi Zhen's ear, Sister Mi Zhen, we women should not get involved in men's affairs. Otherwise, the general will not like us. When Mi Zhen heard this, her little face suddenly became very red, but she didn't open her mouth to object. Diao Chan's meaning was half vague and half direct. How could the intelligent Mi Zhen not understand? Diao Chan was telling her what to do to please Yi Chen. Mi Zhen, who had a good impression of Yi Chen when they first met, was naturally embarrassed. Since ancient times, beautiful women loved heroes. Mi Zhen was also a beautiful woman, so she naturally had a hero complex in her heart. Yi Chen was young and handsome. Because of his military achievements, he was promoted to General Pacifying the North. It could be said that he held a prominent position. Now, in less than a day, he took down the huge Ping city. It was simply too fierce. In Mi Zhen's view, Yi Chen was the peerless commander of the great Han Empire, a peerless hero. Moreover, Yi Chen had a strong, wild, and domineering masculine aura. Worship, admiration, and a feeling of being conquered spontaneously rose in Mi Zhen's heart. Otherwise, Mi Zhen's favorable impression of Yi Chen wouldn't rise again and again. It was even more impossible that he did not object to Diao Chan's cryptic and straightforward words. Yi Chen looked at Mi Zhen's shy face and could not help but feel happy. Damn, the poaching plan had just started and it was already 80% successful. In fact, Yi Chen did not think that his current identity and status had a strong natural attraction to women in this world. However, this was not important. What was important was that Yi Chen was very happy at this moment. At this moment, a maid came to Yi Chen's side, bowed, and said, General, Hedong Wei and Assistant Minister Kai Yong are here. Chapter 196. When Kai Yan heard the maid's words, she jumped to her feet and cried out in shock. Her face was filled with uneasiness at this moment. Don't worry, I'm here. When Yi Chen saw Kai Yan's panicked look, he immediately comforted her and walked towards the front of the house. Samsara City, City Lord's mansion, front hall. When Yi Chen arrived, he saw a white-bearded old man with a dark expression and a middle-aged man with an expressionless face. Wei Boju, Wei Tan from the Wei clan of Hedong, greets General Ping Bei. The middle-aged man saw Yi Chen enter and immediately bowed. Humph! The white-bearded old man snorted coldly. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and looked at the white-bearded old man. He bowed and said, Yi Chen greets Assistant Minister Kai. I've already been removed from my position. How can I accept such a great salute from the general? Kai Yong said sarcastically. When Yi Chen heard this, he smiled indifferently and said, Assistant Minister Kai is a cornerstone of the great Han dynasty. How can I be rude? When Kai Yong heard this, his expression couldn't help but improve, but he still kept a straight face. It was obvious that he was still angry about Yi Chen kidnapping Kai Yan. When Wei Yong saw that Yi Chen was ignoring him, he couldn't help but frown and say, General Yi, Wei Yong is here to explain something to the general. When Yi Chen heard this, he frowned and sneered. Explain? Wait until my army tramples the Wei clan of Hedong. Then you can explain to me. General Yi, are you bullying the Wei clan of Hedong? Wei Yong's eyes widened and he shouted angrily. So what if I'm bullying you? Men, send the guest away. Yi Chen's eyes narrowed and a cold light flashed in them as he shouted. General Yi, my daughter has disturbed you at the general's mansion. This old man will bring my daughter home now. Kai Yong said in a deep voice. When Yichen heard this, he immediately looked at Kai Yong and said in a low voice, "Assistant Minister Kai, don't blame this on me." You. Kai Yong was furious. He pointed at Yi Chun and shouted angrily. Pung, pung, pung. Hurried footsteps sounded. For Samsara City, soldiers rushed in and looked coldly at Kai Yong and Wei Yong. General Yi, wait a moment. Wei Yong hurriedly spoke up when he saw that Yi Chun was really going to drive him away. Not leaving? If you don't want to leave, then don't leave. Yi Chun narrowed his eyes and shouted coldly. After that, he waved his right hand and the Godslayer appeared instantly. An extremely tyrannical, murderous aura was released with a tongue sound. Wei Yong was so frightened that he took 3 steps back and looked at Yi Chun in horror. He never thought that Yi Chun would be so rude and unreasonable. He didn't care about what the Wei family of Hedong thought and didn't even give him a chance to explain. This was very different from what the Wei family of Hedong had speculated about Yi Chun when they learned about Kai Yan. The Wei family of Hedong understood and saw through Yi Chun's intention of sending the weapons with the Wei family of Hedong's insignia. It was nothing more than asking the Wei family of Hedong to defile themselves and give up on Kai Yan's marriage. Otherwise, they would be exterminated. However, in the Wei family of Hedong's eyes, Yi Chun's cheap trick was easy to see through. Even if the news got out, no one would believe it. After all, the Wei family of Hedong was a local prominent family that was deeply favored by the emperor. What reason did they have to rebel? Even if Yi Chun was a rising star and had been promoted to general pacifying the north, he couldn't overthrow the Wei family of Hedong with just a few weapons. Therefore, in the Wei family of Hedong's eyes, Yi Chun didn't dare to fall out with them. Yi Chun did this under the guise of Kai Yan to blackmail the Wei family of Hedong. It was because of this speculation that Wei Yong explained to Yi Chun as soon as he arrived. He even planned to give Yi Chun some money after the explanation and let the matter pass. Of course, the so-called pass was only temporary. How could the dignified Wei family of Hedong let Yi Chun, who had a weak foundation, slap them in the face and not respond? However, this was a matter for the future. He had to wait until the Kai Yan matter was resolved. Only then would the Wei family of Hedong make a move against Yi Chun. What Wei Yong didn't expect was that not only did Yi Chun not give him a chance to explain, but he also wanted to send an army to flatten the Wei family of Hedong. He had just said a few words to keep up appearances when Yi Chun went berserk. He didn't seem to be afraid of the Wei family of Hedong at all. Moreover, Yi Chun's undisguised murderous intent frightened Wei Yong. In Wei Yong's eyes, Yi Chun was serious. He really wanted to flatten the Wei family of Hedong. He really wanted to kill him. General Yi, the Wei family of Hedong is willing to annul the engagement. Wei Yong tried to calm himself down from the shock of Yi Chun's murderous intent and then shouted, "It's too late." Yi Chun sneered and said, "General Yi, the Wei family of Hedong is willing to pay 100,000, no, 1,000,000 purple coins to compensate Kai Wenji." Wei Yong's expression changed, and he shouted again, "Die!" Yi Chun roared and waved the Godslayer. Wei Zhongdao's life was damaged when he was young. He's no different from a eunuch. This marriage is all the fault of the Wei family of Hedong. Wei Yong's pupils constricted, and he screamed. Ugh! A sound was heard. The Godslayer stopped at Wei Yong's neck, and a trace of blood flowed out. "Don't try to act all high and mighty." Yi Chun sneered and put away the Godslayer. Wei Yong gulped and touched the wound on his neck. He suddenly shivered. The Godslayer didn't touch Wei Yong's neck, but did cut open a wound. If it had gone in just a little bit more, he would have died without a doubt. At the thought of this, Wei Yong's heart thumped nonstop. He was really scared. He was sure that if he hadn't said those words, his head wouldn't have belonged to him. Wei Yong! Kai Yong roared at Wei Yong, his face red. When Wei Yong heard this, he immediately looked at Kai Yong. When he saw Kai Yong's murderous glare, he gulped and hurriedly said, "Don't worry. Assistant Minister Kai, let me explain." However, just as the words were about to come out of his mouth, he suddenly saw Yi Chun's cold sneer. The words that he wanted to say also came to an abrupt end. "Explain what? Good Wei family of Hedong. How dare you bully me?" Kai Yong roared, his eyes red with anger. Wei Yong's words weren't made up. Even if the Wei family of Hedong was afraid of Yi Chun, they wouldn't use such a thing to tarnish their reputation. This was obviously tarnishing their reputation too much. Damn it, he was a eunuch. Yi Chun looked at the frightened Wei Yong and curled his lips in disdain. Kai Yong looked left and right, then ran to the Samsara City soldier and pulled out the long saber from the soldier's waist. Kai Yong raised the long saber and roared at Wei Tan, "Bastard! Die!" Chapter 197. Assistant Minister Kai. The Wei family of Hedong will definitely give you an explanation. Wei Yong hurriedly shouted when he saw Kai Yong rushing at him with a saber. He got up and ran outside as he shouted. He had no choice but to run. If he didn't, he would be killed by Kai Yong. Kai Yong's ferocious eyes were not fake. Moreover, he had just told the truth and scraped off several layers of Kai Yong's face. Damn it, Kai Yong came to Samsara City confidently. In the end, the Wei family of Hedong was slapped in the face by Yi Chun, but Kai Yong was slapped in the face by the Wei family of Hedong. It would be strange if Kai Yong didn't fly into a rage out of humiliation. Yi Chun raised his eyebrows when he saw Kai Yong chasing after Wei Yong. He had no intention of stopping him. In fact, Kai Yong was able to get the saber hanging on the soldier's waist because of Yi Chun's order. Otherwise, Kai Yong wouldn't have been able to get the long saber. Looking at Wei Yong, who was about to run out of the door, Yi Chun sneered and then shouted, "I want to see the compensation in one day. Also, don't talk nonsense. You'll get yourself killed." Wei Yong's face darkened when he heard this. Unfortunately, he didn't dare to refuse. The moment he stepped out of the door, he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay." He had no choice but to agree. Damn it, not only did Kai Yan's marriage fail, but he also sold the face of the Wei family of Hedong out of desperation. If what he said in desperation spread out, the Wei family of Hedong would definitely be spurned by the world. The Wei family of Hedong was a noble family. How could they bear such a stain? Therefore, they would rather tighten their belts than let their reputation be tarnished. Tarnishing their reputation was not the cruelest thing. The cruelest thing was that Yi Chun, General Pacifying North, was a rogue general. He didn't threaten the Wei family of Hedong or extort money. He was going to destroy the Wei family of Hedong. Of course, there was still a way to ease the situation. That was, the Wei clan of River East would have to give up Kai Yin and pay 1 million purple gold as compensation. Otherwise, there would be no room for negotiation. Kai Yong chased after Wei Yong and ran out of the city lord's mansion. Yi Chun calmly put away the Godslayer and sat on the main seat, quietly waiting for Kai Yong. Kai Yong would definitely come back. Yi Chun was certain of this. Sure enough, after 10 minutes had passed, Kai Yong returned to the city lord's estate with a dark expression. As soon as he entered, Kai Yong unceremoniously walked to the guest's seat and sat down. Then, he looked at Yi Chun and said, "General Yi, is this old man's daughter here?" Yi Chun nodded with a smile and said, "Yes." When Kai Yong heard this, he almost couldn't breathe. Kai Yong glared hatefully at Yi Chun and asked, "Can this old man bring my daughter home?" "Assistant Minister Kai, why do you hate me so much?" Yi Chun didn't answer Kai Yong's question. Instead, he asked in surprise, "You?" Kai Yong panicked when he heard this, but he quickly recovered. Damn it, he really couldn't blame Yi Chun for this. Not only could he not blame him, but he also had to thank Yi Chun. If it wasn't for Yi Chun, his daughter Kai Yin would have jumped into the fire pit. After a long silence, Kai Yong sighed deeply and said, "This old man has been impolite. Please don't blame me, General Yi. We're family. There's no need to stand on ceremony," Yi Chun said with a smile. Kai Yong's face darkened when he heard this. Then he shouted angrily, "General Yi, are you going to rob me?" Yi Chun smiled faintly. He then stood up and bowed solemnly. "Assistant Minister Kai, Wenji and I are in love with each other. Please grant us our wish." Kai Yong was taken aback when he saw that Yi Chun had lost his bandit aura. At first, he thought that Yi Chun had kidnapped Kai Yin and used Kai Yin as a cover to blackmail the Wei family of Hedong into canceling the marriage. It was because of this that Kai Yong had always treated Yi Chun with disdain. Later, when the Wei family of Hedong's Wei Yong accidentally told the truth, Kai Yong suddenly understood. It turned out that he had been tricked by the Wei family of Hedong. Of course, this didn't change Kai Yong's opinion of Yi Chun, even if Yi Chun had helped Kai Yin jump out of the fire pit. After all, Yi Chun had kidnapped Kai Yin when Kai Yin was about to get married. This kind of behavior was no different from that of a bandit. What was more, Kai Yin had nothing to do with Yi Chun. She was still in Yi Chen's mansion without any status. What was this? If this spread out, Kai Yong would be slapped in the face again. It was because of this consideration that Kai Yong returned to the governor's mansion and wanted to take Kai Yin away. But now, Yi Chen had proposed to marry Kai Yin. For a moment, Kai Yong didn't know what to say. If he refused, Yi Chen had really helped him. If he agreed, Yi Chen had kidnapped Kai Yin. Seeing Kai Yong's gloomy face, Yi Chen said again, "Assistant Minister Kai, I've heard of Wenji's name for a long time, but I didn't have the chance to meet her. It was an accident that I brought Wenji to Samsara City. I wanted to send her back, but I didn't expect that someone would tell me about the dirty deeds of the Wei family in Hedong. Therefore, I made this decision. Please forgive me, Assistant Minister Kai." Kai Yong was stunned when he heard this. This was very different from what he had heard. But Yi Chen's expression was very serious. It didn't look like he was lying. Kai Yong couldn't make up his mind for a moment. Just as Assistant Minister Kai was feeling more conflicted, a clear cry suddenly sounded. "Father, please grant my wish." Kai Yin came to the hall with tears in her eyes. She knelt in front of Kai Yong with a plop. Yi Chen was dumbfounded at this moment. Because Yi Chen didn't expect that Kai Yin would come to the living room of the front mansion. And Yi Chun didn't expect that Kai Yin would ask Yi Chun to marry her. Damn it, happiness came too suddenly. Thinking of this, Yi Chun suddenly felt happy. In fact, what Yi Chun said that night had touched Kai Yin's heart. Moreover, Kai Yin took Yi Chen's "I need you" seriously. Although such domineering and shameless words sounded harsh at first, after one night, Kai Yin's heart was dominated by Yi Chun. Otherwise, Kai Yin might not have shown up today. Kai Yong was stunned when he saw Kai Yin, because Kai Yin didn't look like she was restricted at all. More importantly, Kai Yin took the initiative to ask to marry Yi Chun. After coming to his senses, Kai Yong let out a long sigh. Then, he looked at Yi Chun and said, "Wenji is my only daughter. She has to be courteous to me. You can't look down on Wenji just because she almost got married." When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes widened and he bowed as he said, "How could I dare to look down on Wenji? I swear that I will treat Wenji as a treasure." Kai Yong was relieved when he heard this. Since Yi Chen dared to swear, Kai Yong's worries were mostly alleviated. The rest would depend on Yi Chen's actions. "Father, there are no teachers in Samsara City at the moment. Father, you have nothing to do at home. Why don't you?" Kai Yin looked at Yi Chun and then at Kai Yong and said, Chapter 198. Yi Chen's eyes lit up when he heard Kai Yan's words. Yi Chen had originally planned to recruit Kai Yong, but today wasn't the right day. He didn't expect Kai Yin to take the initiative. If Kai Yong wasn't here, Yi Chen would have hugged Kai Yin and kissed him hard. She was the perfect example of a good wife. Kai Yong fell silent when he heard Kai Yan's words. When Yi Chen saw this, he immediately understood that Kai Yong still harbored fantasies about the imperial court. "Damn it, this won't do." Yi Chen quickly bowed and said, "Samsara City has a population of over 1 million, and 99% of them are illiterate. Please enlighten the people of Samsara City." Kai Yong remained silent and didn't say a word. "Father," Kai Yin called out softly. When Kai Yong heard this, he immediately sighed and stood up. He looked at Yi Chen and bowed solemnly. "Kai Yong greets the Lord. Ding, a top-tier historical official. Kai Yong wishes to acknowledge you as his master. Will you accept?" Yi Chen made his choice without hesitation when he heard the system notification. "Accept." Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Chen for obtaining the loyalty of a top-tier historical official, Kai Yong. From today onwards, the enlightening of the people of Samsara City will depend on my father-in-law. Yi Chen looked at Kai Yong and said with a smile. Kai Yong was stunned when he heard Yi Chun change his words. He smiled and said, I will do my best. Kai Yong was stubborn, but he still had manners. Of course, he wouldn't be complacent and arrogant just because Yi Chun called him father-in-law. However, because of Yi Chun's way of addressing Kai Yong's loyalty increased with a whoosh. Ding! Kai Yong's loyalty has increased greatly. He has become loyal. Kai Yong, top-tier historical official characteristics, enlighten. Aptitude, SSS sealed, loyalty, loyal. Physical strength, 25 bone structure, 76 spirit, 100 luck, hidden cultivation method, Confucianism, incomplete saint level. Skills, calligraphy, saint level, poetry, saint level, equipment, none ding. Congratulations to player Yi Chun. Due to the addition of the great scholar Kai Yong, insight of Samsara City citizens has permanently increased by 10 points. When Yi Chun heard this, his eyes lit up. Perception was something that could not be seen or touched. However, to Yi Chun, the higher the perception, the better. This was because it was related to the success rate of all the professions. Before Yi Chun could finish rejoicing, the system notification sounded again. Ding! The historical beauty Kai Yin wishes to acknowledge you as her master. Will you accept? What the F*** CK? Was there even a need to consider? Accept. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining the loyalty of the historical beauty, Kai Yin. Ding! Kai Yin's favorability has increased, advancing to intimate. Ding! Kai Yin's loyalty has increased. He has advanced to die loyal. As the system notification ended, the world announcement sounded instantly. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to obtain the loyalty of the historical scholar Kai Yong. Due to his identity as a great scholar, player Yi Chun is specially rewarded with 10 million reputation and 10 million gold. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the second to obtain the loyalty of the historical beauty, Kai Yin. Player Yi Chun is specially rewarded with 5 million reputation and 10 million gold. The world announcement was repeated 3 times in a row, causing the world channel to explode. What the F*** CK? Is there a mistake? Yi Chun just sent out the announcement, and he already accepted Kai Yong and Kai Yin? Damn it, even eating can't be that fast. F*** CK. Another historical beauty is going to be defiled by Yi Chun. I won't accept this. What the F*** CK? I was still thinking of changing Kai Yan's fate. But F*** CK. Why did Kai Yin suddenly run over to Yi Chun? And she was even accepted by Yi Chun. Let me tell you why Kai Yin was accepted by Yi Chun. Yi Chun, that bastard, when he ordered Dian Wei to attack my Wuming town, Kai Yin was resting in Lousy town. So, do you know what's going on? F*** CK. Boss Yi Chun is awesome. When the historical figures see Boss Yi Chun, they all kowtow. Mother Kerr, what bow? That bastard Yi Chun snatched it away. I saw Kai Yan's helpless and desperate eyes with my own eyes. F*** CK. Can historical beauties be snatched? Don't listen to his nonsense. Even if you can snatch her, it depends on whether you have the ability. Speaking of which, I remember that Kai Yin was going to marry into the Hedonwei clan. Did Yi Chun change history again? You bunch of bastards, don't you have any sympathy? I was robbed by Yi Chun. He robbed the town, robbed the people in the territory, and even robbed Kai Yin. Yi Chun is a hooligan, scum, and scum. Why would he rob you? Idiot, Kai Yin is yours? Besides, if I remember correctly, Dian Wei did not take the initiative to attack anyone on the way back from Luoyang. It must be you, an idiot, who provoked Dian Wei and got killed. You deserve it. F*** CK. Don't say that you don't want Dian Wei and don't want to get more soldiers. You're talking as if you're great and noble. Idiot. Even if you want it, it depends on whether you have the ability or not. If you don't have the ability, you're just tired of living. The world channel was very lively. Yi Chun saw the words of the former lord of Wuming Town at a glance. The former lord said that Wuming Town had been destroyed by Dian Wei and disappeared from this world. He said this to arouse public anger among the players. Unfortunately, His idea was very naive. Not to mention now, even before the meteor fell, no one paid attention to him. Yichen did not care about such a person at all. He was just a piece of trash. He had no strength, but he insisted on doing things like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. In the end, he would either be killed or crippled. Thinking of this, Yichen looked at Kai Yong and said with a smile, "Father-in-law, you don't have a residence in Luoyang yet. Father-in-law doesn't have a place to stay in Reincarnation City. I'll show you around and see if there's a place that suits your needs so that I can build a house for you as soon as possible." "My lord, there's no need for that. I can look for it myself," Kai Yong said with a smile after hearing this. "How can that be? Wenji, let's go. Let's accompany father," Yi Chun said without hesitation. "Okay." Kai Yin secretly glanced at Yi Chun and replied shyly. Kai Yin had just mustered up her courage to run to the living room and beg Kai Yong to agree to Yi Chun's request. Now that the marriage was a foregone conclusion, Kai Yin became shy. Kai Yong looked at Kai Yin and Yi Chun, then said with a smile, "My lord, there's no need for that. I heard that you've just conquered Ping City in the right. I'm sure you have a lot of things to deal with. There's no need to waste time on me. I can handle these small matters alone." Yi Chun was about to speak when a soldier hurriedly ran over and knelt on one knee. "My lord, the military counselor just sent someone to ask you to return to the real world as soon as possible." Chapter 199. Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard this. Two cold rays of light flashed across his eyes. Guojia had sent someone to inform Yi Chen to return to the real world. He must have met with some trouble in the real world. Otherwise, Guojia would not have done this. At this thought, Yi Chen looked at Kai Yong and said, "I have some urgent matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first." "My lord, business is more important." Kai Yong hurriedly bowed. "Wenji, accompany me for a walk." Yi Chen nodded and looked at Kai Yin. Kai Yin's courtesy name was Zhaoji, also known as Wenji. In the Jin dynasty, she changed her name from Zhaoji to Wenji to avoid the taboo of Sima Zhao. "I can build a house at any time. I'll wait here for your return." Kai Yin shook her head and said. Obviously, Kai Yin knew what the real world represented. She was worried that Yi Chun might be in danger. Otherwise, she would not have stubbornly waited here for Yi Chen's return. When Yi Chun saw Kai Yan's stubbornness, he couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart. He then nodded, and with a thought, he logged out. In the real world, in the governor's mansion of Samsara City. Creak! A sound was heard. The door of the diamond-level gaming capsule opened, and Yi Chun stood up. "My lord, a large number of ferocious beasts and demonic beasts have gathered outside the city. According to preliminary estimates, there are at least 1 million ferocious beasts and at least 10,000 demonic beasts." Guojia, who was supported by a soldier, hurriedly reported when he saw Yi Chun. "What's going on?" Yi Chun frowned and asked in a deep voice. "I don't know the exact reason, but something must have provoked them. Otherwise, this would not have happened." Guojia shook his head and said, "Provoked?" When Yi Chun heard this, he frowned. Then his eyes opened wide. "How dare they? How dare they plot against me?" Yi Chun remembered that in his previous life, some humans used to provoke the demonic beasts by using underhanded tricks to deal with their opponents. To be more precise, it was human blood that stimulated the demons. The demon clan liked to eat humans. The lower the level of the demon clan, the easier it was for them to be attracted by human blood. Therefore, human blood stimulation was a sinister method that was often used by humans in their opponent's territory. Now that so many beasts and demonic beasts had appeared outside the Samsara City, it was obvious that they had been attracted by something. There was nothing in Samsara City that could attract those beasts. In addition, the Black Tiger Gang had just come here and wanted to build a village here. The result was already very obvious. The Black Tiger Gang had lured these monster soldiers over with human blood. Black Tiger Gang, a bunch of bastards. How dare they? Do they really think that they can break into Samsara City with the help of the demon clan? Thinking of this, Yi Chun smiled coldly. The villages built in the real world were the same as the safe cities. They also had a 3-month safe zone attribute. No matter how many ferocious and demonic beasts there were, they couldn't break into Samsara City. Obviously, the Black Tiger Gang didn't know about this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so much effort to lure in such a large group of demon soldiers. In fact, this was indeed the case. The Black Tiger Gang had come here to build a village to test the effects of the village creation token real in the real world. They wanted to see if the real world was the same as the game, where NPCs would be refreshed when the village was built. If it was real, then Shun-Hu, the leader of the Black Tiger Gang, could constantly refresh his subordinates, and they would be loyal to him. It would only be a matter of time before he dominated. When he saw the Samsara City in the real world, Zhao Yun, Zhao Ming, and the 10,000 Samsara Legion, he was basically sure of his previous guess. Moreover, he also felt that if the village creation token was used in the real world, his subordinates in the game would also appear. However, he wasn't completely sure, so he wanted to ask Yi-Chun if that was the case. However, Yi-Chun ignored him. He was annoyed that he didn't get an answer. Moreover, the stimulation of the Samsara City in the real world gave him the idea to plot against Yi-Chun, kill Yi-Chun, and take over the Samsara City in the real world. Unfortunately, he didn't know that the territory in the real world would be the same as the safe city in the 3 months after the meteor fell. They wouldn't have to worry about being attacked by the demon soldiers at all. A bunch of trash. They really thought that they could get everything by being sinister. Thinking of this, Yi-Chun's extremely tyrannical, murderous aura suddenly burst out. "My lord, have you figured out the reason for the gathering of the demon soldiers?" Guo Jiao was stunned when he saw Yi-Chun's expression. Those bastards must have used human blood. At this time, there's no other way to cause the demon soldiers to riot. Yi-Chun nodded and said in a low voice, "My lord, don't those people know that the demon soldiers can't enter the Samsara City at this time?" Guo Jiao was stunned for a moment before he asked. If they knew, they wouldn't have done it. Yi-Chun coldly smiled. After he finished speaking, he frowned. "Where's Zhao Ming? Didn't I tell him to press the button in the game capsule if something happened in the real world?" Yi-Chun asked because Guo Jiao was weak and should be recuperating in the game world. Now that he had forced himself to come to the real world, it was obvious that he had given up on recuperating because he knew about the situation in the real world. "My lord, Zhao Ming has never seen the game capsule you mentioned. He's afraid that he'll press the wrong button and hurt you." Guo Jiao hurriedly bowed and said. Yi-Chun was stunned when he heard this. He then sighed and said, "The Samsara City is not dangerous right now. The only ones who can enter the Samsara City are humans. The demon soldiers can't enter at all. Feng Xiao, go back and rest." "My lord, there are too many demon soldiers outside the city. We have to think of a way to disperse or kill them as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Samsara City will be in danger when they become stronger. After all, the safety of the Samsara City can't be maintained for long." Guo Jia hurriedly said. Yi-Chun couldn't help but smile when he heard this. He then said, "Feng Xiao, I didn't say that I couldn't kill the demon soldiers outside the city." Guo Jia was stunned for a moment when he heard this. He then heaved a sigh of relief and said, "I'm relieved that my lord thinks this way. Ha ha, they're just a bunch of weaklings. They're not worth mentioning. I'll kill them in a while. This time, I'll let them know what a forbidden area is and what it means to kill anyone who enters." Yi-Chun laughed and said, "My lord, I'd better go back and rest after you've killed the demon soldiers. Please don't mention any military orders." Guo Jia nodded and bowed. Yi-Chun looked at Guo Jia, who was weak but serious. After a moment of silence, he said solemnly, "Feng Xiao, go back and rest. This is a military order." Chapter 200. How could Yi-Chun not know what Guo Jia was thinking? It was to ensure that nothing would go wrong, to ensure that Yi-Chun would not be in danger. Although the beasts were called trash, they couldn't be killed easily. The beasts were secondary. The key was still the beasts. In the real world, there were tens of thousands of beasts outside Samsara City. Compared to the human cultivation state, they were equivalent to the pre-celestial state. There were only 3 pre-celestial states in Samsara City: Yichun, Zhao Yun, and Zhao Ming. In the Samsara Legion, no one had broken through to the pre-celestial state yet. The difference in strength was obvious. Guijia had to be careful. However, Guijia didn't know Yi Chen's current strength. He also didn't know what cultivation method Yi Chen was cultivating. Otherwise, Guijia could immediately go back to the game world to rest. At this moment, Yi Chen's martial power had reached 100, which was the peak of the pre-celestial state. His body was strong, and the amount of pre-celestial true qi was abnormal. What was even more abnormal was that Yi Chen already had a primordial spirit. This was the sign of the mortal evolution state. This meant that Yi Chen's true strength had reached the mortal evolution state. He could use the Shenxiao thunder manipulation chant. Moreover, Yi Chen had the pre-celestial spirit treasure, the fire spirit bead. He was invincible in the same state. The strongest beasts outside the city were just beasts. There wasn't even a demon. How could there be someone stronger than Yi Chen? These were the source of Yi Chen's confidence. Yi Chen wouldn't be afraid, even if there were 100,000 or 1,000,000 beasts. The power of the chaotic state cultivation method couldn't be suppressed by just anyone. Lord, Guojia's face changed when he heard Yi Chen ordering him to go back and rest. He quickly bowed and said, "Feng Xiao, do you think that I, your master, am a reckless and impetuous person?" Yi Chen sighed and then asked. Guojia was dazed when he heard this. He then remembered that Yi Chen never fought a battle that he wasn't confident in. Boom, boom, boom. A bolt of lightning suddenly appeared in the main hall of the city lord's mansion, giving Guojia a fright. The soldiers in the main hall and Yinhu, who was quietly waiting at the side, were also shocked. Guojia was dazed, and then he bowed with joy. Congratulations on reaching the mortal evolution state, Lord. Feng Xiao, can you go back and rest in peace? Yi Chen laughed and asked, "My lord, please withdraw the military order." Guojia shook his head and said solemnly, "Damn it." When Yi Chen heard this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. "All right, just this once. Don't do it again. Also, don't attack." Yi Chen did not ask Guojia to make a move because he was concerned about Guojia. Guojia's current physical condition was not suitable for him to use the advisor skill. Forcefully using it would definitely cause great harm to the body. "Yes, my lord." When Guojia heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief and bowed. Yi Chen shook his head helplessly. Just when he was about to leave the main hall, he suddenly thought of something and was dazed. Then he slapped his forehead and waved his right hand. A small pond made of stalactites appeared in the main hall. The moment the small pond appeared, Yinhu stood up with it. His 2 tiger eyes were wide open. He knew very well what the milky white thing in the small pond was. "My lord, this is..." Guojia was dazed when he saw the small pond. Just when he opened his mouth, he stopped abruptly. 1,000-year stalactite milk. At this moment, Guojia recognized the origin of the thing in the pool. His eyes were filled with shock as he shouted, "That's right, it's the 1,000-year stalactite milk. It should be of some help to your body." Yi Chen chuckled and said. Then he waved his right hand, and 3 balls of 1,000-year stalactite milk flew from the small pond to Guojia. "My lord, this..." Guojia looked at the 3 balls of 1,000-year stalactite milk floating in front of him and said emotionally, "Feng Xiao, for me, for reincarnation, you've given your all. It's only 1,000-year stalactite milk. What's there to be reluctant about?" Yi Chen laughed and said, "Jia thanks my lord for the gift." Guojia took a deep breath and exhaled. Then he bowed solemnly and opened his mouth and swallowed the 3 balls of 1,000-year stalactite milk. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the paleness on Guojia's face disappeared without a trace. Then, his complexion returned to normal. Seeing that Guojia had returned to normal and even his bone frame had increased by 6 points, Yi Chen heaved a sigh of relief. As long as it was useful, Guojia, super first-class historical official characteristics, great wisdom like a demon, scheming like a ghost. Aptitude, SSS grade sealed, loyalty, Die-hard martial strength, 30 bone frame, 96 mental strength, 100 fortune. Hidden cultivation technique, ghost deity technique, incomplete, sage grade skills, ghost deity eye, aura, gazing technique equipment. Not thank you, my lord, for the gift. Guojia sensed his body and bowed in surprise. As long as it's useful, it's good. Yichen smiled and said, "Oh, well." At this moment, Yinhu ran to Yichen's side and rubbed his head against Yichen's leg while staring at the 1,000-year stalactite milk. It's useless to eat too much of this stuff. When there's something better, I'll give it to you. Yichen looked at Yinhu's coquettish behavior and couldn't help but smile. He patted Yinhu's head and said, when Yinhu heard this, he instantly became listless. However, Yinhu immediately nodded and rubbed his head against Yichen's leg. Clearly, he was reminding Yichen not to forget about it when there was something good. Yichen shook his head helplessly. He patted the air with his right hand, and the 1,000-year stalactite milk was instantly stored away by Yichen. Let's go. Let's go and take care of those demon clan soldiers who were lured here and refused to leave. After Yichen finished speaking, a tyrannical aura appeared all of a sudden and surged. Roar! At this moment, Yinhu also let out an earth-shattering roar. Yes, my lord. When Guojia heard this, he immediately bowed and followed Yichen to the west gate of Samsara City. Yichen had to deal with the demon clan soldiers who were lured here and had yet to leave. Yichen had to deal with the Black Tiger gang who used human blood to lure the demon clan soldiers here. Yichen would only choose one way to deal with his enemies: kill them without mercy. In the real world, at the west gate of Samsara City. When Yichen arrived, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, and a group of Samsara Legion soldiers all knelt on one knee and shouted, "Greetings, my lord." Yichen nodded and then shouted, "Leave the city. Kill the enemies." "Yes, my lord." Everyone shouted in unison. Swoosh! The Samsara Legion soldiers all stood up and summoned the silver-grade point steel, spears, silver-grade radiant armor, and silver-grade hornbows. A murderous aura instantly rose. Chapter 201. Yichen glanced at the Samsara Legion, which had a forest of spears. Then, he headed for the city gates. Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, and Guojia followed closely behind. Behind them were the 10,000 Samsara Legion, who were holding steel and spears tightly. With a creak, the west gate of the Samsara City opened. The roars of the beasts outside the city stopped abruptly. Yichen glanced at the ferocious demonic beasts that covered the entire mountain. He narrowed his eyes and released a berserk murderous intent. At this moment, a burst of laughter was heard. A black-haired gorilla stood up among the beasts and shouted at Yichen, "Ha ha, ha ha, we're finally out. Leader Human Brat, let me ask you, is this city a city in the game? Tell me. If you don't tell me, I'll eat you." A hedgehog roared fiercely. This guy has 2 arms and 2 legs. He's not fat, so he's definitely not tasty. A large rat stared at Yichen with its scarlet eyes, then curled its lips and said, "Don't worry, Yichen. Whether he's tasty or not, he's a human. I don't mind as long as he's edible." A Tibetan mastiff stared at Yichen and laughed. "You're only fit to eat shit." A green wolf said disdainfully, "Bastard, do you want to die?" The Tibetan mastiff was furious and roared fiercely at the green wolf. "Fight! Fight! Go! Dahe, don't be afraid of him. Kill this idiot." "Ha! Da Ching, kill this idiot, Dahe." The demonic beasts who were watching the show started to roar one after another. "Shut the F***CK up." A sudden roar was heard, and the beasts immediately fell silent. A lion stood up and glanced at the beasts coldly. Then, it looked at Yichen and asked in a deep voice, "Human, tell me, are you Yichen who made many world announcements in the game?" When Yichen heard this, he narrowed his eyes and shouted, "So what if I am? So what if I'm not?" "Human, you are very arrogant." The golden-furred lion said coldly as it opened its eyes wide. "You will soon know what it means to be even more arrogant." Yichen said with a cold smile, "Human, don't think that the safe zone can protect you for the rest of your life. To tell you the truth, this safe zone can definitely not protect you for more than 3 months. The golden lion frowned and said in a deep voice, "So what?" Yichen raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "If you tell me who you are now, I can make the decision to leave your corpse intact after 3 months. If you don't, you will die without a burial ground." The golden lion roared and then opened its mouth to roar. Yichen's eyes widened, and he waved his right hand, summoning the God Slayer. "You're just a piece of trash. How dare you be so arrogant?" When Zhao Yun and Zhao Meng saw this, they both summoned their weapons. Roar! Yenhu glared with his 2 tiger eyes and roared with incomparable ferocity. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The members of the Samsara Legion raised their guns and roared. Violent, murderous aura instantly rose and rushed to the demon soldiers all over the mountain. Yichen's summoning of his weapons and the Samsara Legion's actions stunned the monsters. Then they all laughed. Roar, 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 gagaga. Ah, what did I just see? These people want to kill us? Hee hee, stupid humans. Come and kill us. We can't wait. Ha ha. Quick, come over. If you don't come over, you are a dog. F*CK off. Is a dog in your way? You piece of trash. If you say dog again, I will kill you. At this moment, a cry of surprise was heard. No, this person's weapon looks like what that idiot era said. That's right, dark, thick. This kid is Yichun. Damn, this bastard is Yichun. He doesn't even dare to admit that he is the strongest human. Hee hee, did you see that? The strongest human doesn't dare to come out. He is hiding in the safe zone. Trash, Yichun. Come out if you dare. Let's spar. I promise I will not bully you. A bunch of trash. Yichun sneered. He raised the God Slayer in his right hand and pointed it at the monster soldiers. Swoosh. The members of the Samsara Legion raised their guns. White Tiger battle formation. Yichen's eyes suddenly widened as he shouted out, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Deafening roars rang out. In the next second, an intense murderous aura appeared above the Samsara Legion and began to condense. Yo, you scared Grandpa Pig. Ha ha ha, come out if you dare. Why are you acting all high and mighty in the safe zone? A wild boar sneered. How do you put it in human terms? Acting all high and mighty. Yes, this is called acting all high and mighty. But if you don't act all high and mighty, come out and act all high and mighty, then we will respect you. A toad laughed. Hey, Yichun, the strongest human. Come out if you dare. Act all high and mighty in front of your Grandpa Ox. Come out now. A bull sneered sarcastically. At this moment, the murderous aura of Yichun, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, Guijia, and the members of the Samsara Legion condensed and began to distort. In the next second, an earth-shattering roar rang out. Roar! A huge white tiger suddenly appeared in the sky. It was brutal, ruthless, and murderous. Then began a churn. That cold and tyrannical tiger's eyes mercilessly glanced at the startled fiend race soldiers on the ground. Then it leaped down and enveloped Yichen's group. The demon soldiers all over the mountain, regardless of whether they were ferocious beasts or monsters, all widened their eyes in disbelief. Damn it, what's going on? Why can Yichun summon the white tiger? How would I know? Damn it, isn't the white tiger a mighty figure of the demon race? Why can a human use its power? Idiot, Yichun didn't summon the white tiger of the demon race. It's one of the 4 F*King white tigers. There's only one of them in the world. Damn it, why do I suddenly feel that my legs are shaking? Roar. The earth-shattering roar rang out again. In the next second, the white tiger leaped forward and rushed out of the safe zone in a few steps. Then, it turned into a stream of light and flashed past. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions rang out. Wherever the stream of light passed, a 5,000-meter-long and 500-meter-wide path appeared. It was shrouded in thick blood fog. The white tiger killed 100,000 people in an instant. Hiss, hiss. Sounds of sucking in cold air could be heard from the mouths of the demonic beasts all over the mountain. Huff, huff, roar, roar. At this moment, A fearful aura also appeared on the bodies of the Demon Clan soldiers who had been extremely arrogant just a moment ago. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.